Dime qué tú quieres, papi. ¿Quieres que lo mueva para ti? Mueve, mueve. ¿Te gusta cuando me muevo así? Así.
Thank you, God, for this day. We have lived everything in our life, our health, our family, the guidance you have given us, allow us guidance to the path of righteousness. Amen.
Really, I'ma get that bitch. Revenge is a dish best served cold. She took my son, now my soul is cold. He took my daddy, now my soul is old.
Yeah, man.
That's hot shit right there, man.
So what we gonna do? We gonna dub?
King Chaka NT. Y'all can check out the music on Spotify, Apple, and other services. Doing what we do 3 to 4 nights a week. King Chaka NT.
I got this.
From the
She
back
starts
seat.
shooting.
That dude was like, ow.
What was that?
Outside the car,
That nigga
deputies'
got
body
popped.
cameras capturing the bullets flying through the air.
We got shots fired
couldn't
up
have been
here.
a straight
We need
shot. It had
backup
to be-
immediately. Start
Are you-
EMS. Start EMS.
What
We got
the
a civilian. We got a civilian hit.
The deputy.
Looks like we got us another hit.
This is copyright.gov, U.S. Copyright Office. More information on fair use. Fair use is a legal doctrine that promotes freedom of expression by permitting the unlicensed use of copyright-protected works in certain circumstances. Section 107 of the Copyright Act provides the statutory framework for determining whether something is a fair use and identifies certain types of uses such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research as examples of activities that may qualify as fair use. Section 107 calls for consideration of the following 4 factors in evaluating a question of fair use: purpose and character of the use, including whether the use of the commercial nature or is for nonprofit educational purposes, nature of the copyrighted work, amount and substantiality of the portion used in relation to the copyrighted work as a whole, effect of the use upon the potential market for or value of the copyrighted work. Okay, so anything I use for you guys, hit me up if you want me to remove it, edit it, or whatever. Nothing is used to infringe on anybody's intellectual property. I don't intend on doing that, and I don't intend on profiting from anyone's intellectual property. So I'm glad to edit or delete anything that's any of my videos that I've used of anybody. So that's it. Hey, how y'all doing out there? How y'all feel? Remember, an educated public cannot be controlled. Learn to be active. The views and events expressed here are totally whacked and are not necessarily the views of anyone. Yes. So today, the name of the show today is Outrage Culture. Okay. Outrage Culture. I kind of been talking about this on and off for a little while, I think for a couple weeks. Because I think it's important that we try to understand what's happening. Like, I'm going to show some stories later, but it's like how we react to everything, how we overreact to everything. You know, I hope I didn't cover this already. I feel like I did, but how we, overreact, and how they trigger us. I feel like I freaking had said the same speech already, but, specifically, like, let's say in politics, because we got the political season is rearing up, bruh, and so man, it's like you're supposed to be angry about this thing that somebody said or whatever, something somebody did or whatever. So it's supposed to make you mad. And, so as a result, then like it affects how you vote or whatever. I don't know. Certain people you want to get fired or certain people that you want to get canceled or whatever. But what does this really accomplish though? What are we getting done? Like we're putting so much energy in this anger and outrage that we have for this thing someone said or whatever. And then we feel like we're accomplishing something by like, I don't know, being mad about it and saying we're not going to vote for them or saying we canceled them or whatever. Meanwhile, like I say, man, they're running out the back door with the damn bag. Pat sent me a chart that had my brain going. I don't think I can play it because I don't know how to pull that up on my computer, but it showed the World Bank, and it was a chart of how many assets they had acquired over time. And it showed, I mean, it constantly was going up gradually. I think the chart started like in the 80s, 70s. I'm not sure. And then when you get to 2021, it does this huge 2020 or 2021, it does this huge freaking spike. And it's like, meanwhile, we're mad at what somebody said. But I don't see us dealing with the situation. Like we just went through a pandemic, right? Some people lied to us about stuff. People was getting sprayed with mace and stuff for not complying. All of this stuff was going on, and it seems like we just forgot about it, like just that fast. But we're mad about what somebody is saying in the news, what some celebrity said, and we're outraged about that. But we're not trying to hold people accountable for this major ass thing that we just went through. Like freaking the hugest transfer of wealth probably ever. The hugest like totalitarian like freaking test, if you will, the ever, like the most restricted they have gotten us ever, and then we just forget about that, and then they say some shit in the news or they play some news clip of somebody saying something that's supposed to make us mad, and then we outraged and mad about that thing, and we totally just like using our energy. It's like the energy vampire thing, you know what I'm saying? It's like they're draining people's energy, so that you can't harness it to do the things that needs to be done. So if we all work together and harness that anger, that energy that we have to actually, holding people accountable, repairing our system, improving our system, and maybe we can get something done. But individually, us just lashing out in anger and outrage is not going to do anything. It's not going to accomplish a thing. Meanwhile, things do not change. Things stay the same, other than the damn trajectory that the powers that be have. That their thing is rolling right along just fine. It's the status quo, so things can continue to be the way that they are. They're happy with this. So as long as we keep bickering and fighting and being outraged about this, that, and the other, they continue to run out the back door with the bag. That's what I'm saying.
All the money.
What up, Pat? What up, dudes? How y'all feel?
What's up?
Right,
What's up?
What's up?
I feel pretty good, man. How about yourself?
I can't complain. I feel better. I ain't gonna lie. I've been feeling I took a walk the other day, a really good long walk. And I don't know, I've been thinking about my life and stuff, getting older. My birthday just passed not that long ago. So I don't know. I just been like feeling kind of down mentally, I think. And then it made me physically sick. But I went and like I said, I went and I took a really long walk and I fasted,
Through the park after
I,
dark.
it was during the day. I wanted to make sure I got some sweat. But I fasted. And was avoiding sugar for a while, um, and any kind of caffeine. And I don't know. After a few days of doing that, I kind of felt better, and also like I felt like my mind was working clearer. Like I felt like I had cleared out my mind a bit, so I feel
Okay.
better.
Cool deal. Cool deal.
That's what's up.
Anyways, how y'all feeling?
So
What do y'all think about the topic? The name of the show is Outrage Culture. So, and I'm gonna bring up some points and play some clips. But like, the idea that they just keep. I don't know how did we get here? How did we get to the point where everybody is snowflakes and everybody is so sensitive? The comedians. I saw a clip where somebody made a joke about Trump or something, and they threw a water bottle at the comedian. Like this just recently happened. It was a female comedian. So it's like, damn, bro. Like, okay, you a fan of Trump? That's cool. Can somebody tell some jokes? Like, bruh, just laugh. That's what you're here to. You paid to get in here.
man, people really are super sensitive, and it's just like I don't know what like I'm a truck driver. I'm on the road a lot. I'm kind of do my own thing for most of the time, and it just seemed like have I been? Sometimes wonder have I been in a time warp?
I
You
wonder
know,
the same thing because I've been avoiding the mainstream world. Like I feel like, well, I feel like I went kind of crazy for a while, but avoided the world. So I also feel that way. I feel like once I came back and started looking at things, it seemed like, am I crazy? Like it seems like things had changed so much, and that I couldn't, I can't really put my finger on that. Like it seems like I don't know. I don't even know what I'm trying to say because it's like I went, like you say, I went in a time warp. Like I went into a time machine and I came out and the world had changed. And how did we get here? When did it happen?
I really don't know because I mean it's like because the thing about like for the masses, it seems like because there's some people who we call conscious, like that has grown a lot in the last few years, the conscious community, and these people are they're learning things, they're talking about things, they're doing doing certain things, and I think I mean for the most part it's a good thing, but like you know it's just like there's usually there's that normal 85% that are followers, the 10% that you know are leaders and builders and things like that, and then we have the 5% that usually would be the ones who's like at the kind of like at the curve. They're seeing it, like they might not be really in the middle of it, but they at least see it. I feel like that part of like that 85% is growing into 90%.
Hmm. And but you know what? What I wonder? I wonder if like maybe it's always been this way and I've just become aware of it. That's what I wonder.
That's a dynamic. I mean, I don't know. I mean, because that's the part that I wonder. Because like I feel like like because I was one of the like I could say that for sure at one point I was a part of the 85%.
Yeah.
Like clearly I was a part of the 85% to but still somewhat like I was never like a closed-minded person. You know what I'm saying? Like I've always had like an open mind, but the access just kind of exploded. And then of course, like with a bunch of free time, I say free time because I'm driving up and down the highway, but at least like instead of just watching uh just like because I mean, I've watched like the Love and Hip Hop and like what's the or what's that Real Housewives, and different shows like that. I've kind of enjoyed a few times, but I never really just got caught up into the a lot. I guess some of the things that really, I think some of the shows that people who's stuck, like, I don't know, like, I mean, because I don't really want to like pick on anybody, but it's just like there's a certain dynamic, a certain part of our world that is just like in that time, in that circle that they keep going into the same cycles over and over again,
And
and
what
not.
perspective are you talking about?
Well,
That's
I'm
what
just
I'm trying
saying,
to
like,
figure out. Like, it's like, is it the perspective of people being sensitive now, or the
well,
perspective of this world has always been like this?
I guess kind of how those two worlds have kind of really combined.
I
Because
got you.
it's
I
like,
got you.
yeah, because I mean, we've, like, things that used to matter, because, like, you know, there's some of the people who was Black Power and this, that, and the other are the same people who are in the ratchet, um you know stuck in the cycle, because it's kind of like they got to a point where things, like, they feel like nothing matters. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's what's happened to a lot of our people that was at least once, thinking about building and trying to do different stuff. They just kind of like, this is just the world. This is just the way it is. And, all right, I might as well stop fighting it. I might as well just go
Join
along
it.
with the, yeah, I might as well join everybody else, and just,
Well,
so,
that may explain the outrage culture because, if people are just hopeless and they just feel like there's nothing they can do really, so they just like they have this undirected anger, this anger that is not controllable, like, and it just, it's triggered every now and then.
yeah, I really
Well,
believe it, I think it's really dangerous. Like, I mean, because those people, because I mean, it's not like they don't feel anything. It's just that they've tried to cope and deal with the world as they, the best they can with everything that's going on, and could, shoot, that could be like an implosion. And, it could be a personal implosion, or it could be an implosion, you know, shit, more as a group. You know what I'm saying? Like, it could like those people January 6th. That was like, I look at that like it's, that was like a thing that has been building up. It's like this group, certain group that feels like, you know they are not being, like, because what's the best way to say it? Like, I mean, because they really, like, a lot of those people are at least what I say it represents. Because, like, can I speak for each one individually? No, but I think that because of the way that a lot of things have been going, that was like a cry out for, like, look, we're losing our world, like, and it's, and I get it, like, I somewhat agree, because we see it, just like, I mean, that's that group of people who's actually able to see what like, the banks are doing, like, something is happening, that whether they can, do anything about it, but it's, and everybody else is kind of just stuck in the cycle, like, oh well, hey, just shut up and just deal with it. It just is what it is. You know I don't know. It's really kind of hard to verbalize, because I like, the proof is there. Like, I heard you going off with some of the stats. So, I mean, there's proof that what is happening, the thing that's happening is happening. So they're not just fakely outraged. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, we have some stuff that we should be angry about, but what I'm saying is, because of the power of the media, they give us these little tidbits to be angry about instead of freaking. It's redirecting our anger.
Well, but see, but that's the stuff that controls those who don't really can't that don't really see like the fullness of it. There's some people who see the fullness of it, and those are the ones, like I say, I think that is more so like the people is January 6th. Some of these other ones, they're getting outraged by the stuff that's on TV. Okay, George Floyd, what I'm saying, like, were they telling us that the majority of black people that's getting killed by cops when that's not what the stats show. You know what I'm saying? Is does it mean that it's not important that what's happened to George Floyd? Or saying that that's like that's less messed up? No, I mean it's but there are people who's dealing with things, actually dealing with more of it, and it goes ignored, and they wonder why these white people are upset. Like they, what I'm saying? Like I said, I mean there's a lot of things that's happening just as probably more than what is happening to the people who's getting outraged and protesting and this, that, and the other. And shit, want you like for every one black person that's getting killed, there's maybe 5 white people, maybe shit, maybe up to 10. I mean, I don't know. I mean, of course, it's more of them here in the country, but like we're broadcasting it, we're talking about those murders and these things that's happening, but we're ignoring the other part. So it's just like we're making a big deal about one side, I mean, because all of it is effed up. Like, I don't want it to get confused. Like, some people would look and listen to that and say, oh, well, he's a coon. But no, like the same thing that they're doing with Kanye and Candace is like there's real numbers of things that's happening, and the media will expose certain sides because they know that it's more beneficial to them because they can get a certain demographic riled up, and then at the same time they can still piss off another demographic because they're not getting the attention. So it's like which way, like, what I'm saying, they're getting a double whammy at the same time, because when they say, just like exactly what's been happening, Black Lives Matter, well, all lives matter, like, like, but when they say it, it's like they're the ones being racist, but they're saying like, dude, like, we got people that's dying at higher rates and nobody is saying or doing anything about it. Like, they shouldn't, like, they don't have a voice. So that's the thing that I think that's really missing. Like, real life is really missing. Like, we can go off on tangents and be angry with people, call them racist when they're just trying to bring light to the stuff that's going on in their neighborhood too. So I just, I don't know. Like, it's so many different angles of this thing that it's just really hard to really encapsulate. But it's and I can't I wouldn't call any of it fake outrage because people are pissed. But what do we do when what I'm saying, let's say it was the other way around. Let's just say they were broadcasting all of the white people, and then we got black people. Then, like, we're real, like, I mean, it's happening in our neighborhood. They don't want to talk about what's happening to us. How would we look at that?
Yeah, it's complex. I think I'm gonna come back to the outrage thing because that's gonna be the theme for tonight. But I want to talk
Yeah.
about Trump. He last night, I don't know if y'all heard my rant last night when I was, they were talking about how Trump is the real reason why they got out of Afghanistan, and then they were saying, oh, it was a disaster or whatever, embarrassment for Biden and all of this or whatever, but it was because of Trump, because he made the order. And so that's the thing though. So like people want to say bad things about Trump, and that's cool. But I gotta, we gotta point out the good stuff too, or whatever. So it's the same thing with Biden. Even though it's hard to find good things that he do, I'm fair. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be 100. I stand on my square. So I'm
Yeah.
not necessarily a Trump fan, but him getting us out of Afghanistan was a good thing. And right now, Trump is using his celebrity or his status or whatever to
Worldwide.
to try to push us to do some peace talks with Russia. And I mean, people want to say whatever they want to about that, but this is a very, very, very good thing. Okay, escalating to nuclear war is not where we should be going. Damn, leave it to Trump to be the voice of reason on something like this is so crazy.
But that's not new. But see, but that's the thing. That's not a new thing. Like people, like the media has like when he says fake news, fake news. Like people people make jokes about him and imitate how he said this that and the other, but the shit it's so real. And but like people have been so manipulated. And I mean, I get it because like I've seen it like with people that's like the closest to me. And at the same time I can see where like, okay, wait a minute, but no, but I mean, but he's like this doesn't add up. Oh, you know what?
Well,
I actually saw the whole. What I'm saying? There's a lot of things that
Well,
they.
I think the problem is that everybody wants to pick a side, and then they go with their guy no matter what. Like, this is my guy, so even when
Yes,
he's wrong, even when
that
he's tripping, he's still my guy. I'm going with that team.
well,
This is my team. I'm rolling with him.
well, well,
That's the problem.
but see, and I think that a lot of people that do stick with Trump a lot of times because they know that he's done more good than bad, that they they do stick with him. And then I think that a lot of people who are, because I mean, I don't think it's like that's like, I kind of think that that's one of the differences between some of the people that's been sticking with Biden. It's not really Biden, it's more so the Democratic Party.
Right.
So
That's my team. I'm rolling with them no matter what. I'm rolling with them till the wheels fall off. Looking
yeah,
ass.
like they can do no wrong. Like I look, I this look, I'm I was born a Saints fan. I'm a live a Saints fan, and I'm a die a Saints fan. Like I mean, like
So
just
the problem is that we can't point out the bad parts related to our team. Like we can't. It's kind of like with this microcosm of ourselves. We're so hard to be able to see where we're wrong. We can't. We just can't fathom it. So it's the same thing with our team. So we project that, and it's like, oh, they're my team. So don't say nothing bad about them, even if it's the truth. I ain't trying to hear it. You know. So, but then we got this ridiculous. You have to twist yourself in pretzels to to back these people up sometimes. You know what I'm saying? At some
it
point, you
is.
should just be like, bro, I fuck with him, but I don't fuck with him on that.
Well, yeah. I mean, I would, like I would feel so much better if I could like hear that. Man, like there's people that I love that I'm just like, well, look, and you get like you can show them side by side proof, but they won't say it. They see it, they know it, but they just won't give in and just say, well, okay, I see what you're saying. Like at no point, I think that
Cause he on the wrong team. He not on their team. They can't. It's like the other guy. I can't say. Like, was that a strike? It was like, nigga, that was a strike. Nah, that's not my team.
look,
That
nah, man, look, it was on like it was right off the like it kind of looked like it was across the line, but like I looked at it the whole time, bro. It didn't cross the line, and it kind of curved
yeah.
right
And
right at the line.
And it's funny in that context when we're talking about sports, and then it's like, okay, you're holding up your sports team, whatever. But when
Yeah.
it comes to like politics and like actual real life, like policies that's gonna affect our life, then I now you look childish.
No,
You
some
know what I'm
shit.
saying?
No, bro, it's worse. Like it's just total ignorance. Like for a lot of people, it's like it's like they know that they're being stupid. Like I mean, like they get angry with you for pointing out how stupid they are. Like that's the and then they won't just like say, okay, all right, you know what? You know what I'm saying? I have more self-respect for myself than to egg on and act like this stuff is not happening.
And
It,
that's the part
it,
that bothers the shit out of me, especially when I look at these politicians. I'm like, look at you, you freaking weasel. Do you have a damn spine? What do you stand on? Like the way Trump badmouthed some of those people, and they just went and freaking right after that. Who's a good example of that? What's his name from Texas? Ted Cruz. But Trump did it to multiple dudes, and then afterwards they all like slobbing his knob, bro, sticking their head up in his booty hole. Like, regardless of where you stand, I don't really fuck with Ted Cruz's politics, but as a man, he's talking about your wife. Like, I don't care, bro. Like, bruh, like you crossed the line. I don't, this politics shit, bro. Like, bruh, at some point, the real person needs to come out, And if he was to do that, I'd be fucking with Ted Cruz after that. I'd be like, that's my nigga now. Cause like, you know what I mean?
but you know what? I have seen so many political things with Cruz. You know, like in the beginning, I think because I mean, I think that was at the time when I was very much still Democratic leaning. At least that was what most of my views were still, at the Democratic, like I stood with the Democrats at that time because I guess like I somewhat had a team, and I think like me swapping the team was more so me realizing how stupid I was for not seeing a lot of the things that was going on that side. Not that I think that they, like they're totally bad, that are horrible people and this, that, and the other. Because, like, I mean, really, we're talking about Obama, somebody who is very charismatic, coolest, seems cool as hell, but somebody who's really has not really done what we expected him to be. We would think that he, because it's probably even like we really look at what he did, not just to say for black people, but good for America. I mean, outside of trying to, put together you know, the insurance, everybody gets insurance plan. I can't really see what else he really did good for America.
Well, he still got time. Let me play this. Check it.
Trump wants a peaceful end to the war between Russia and Ukraine. The bloody fascist. What is fascist again?
No, here's the news.
Hello there, you 6 million awakening wonders. Thanks for joining me on this voyage towards peace. Hopefully peace. If you don't subscribe yet, subscribe.
There's
right now,
gonna be
turn
some
on the
Democrats
notification
really
bell, and remember,
pissed
we stream live
that
every day
he's
on Rumble
making that kind of
at
move.
these times. We go deep into the subject
It's gonna
you
be
care about.
good for him
Together
politically.
would not be allowed on the
Ridiculously good, especially if he runs for president. And so all of this stuff where they got, the indictments or this, that, and the other, all that shit goes out the window if he wins the presidency.
Bro, for a lot of people, it already doesn't matter because most people understand like the way that I talked about the J6 last night. Like that's how a lot of people, his supporters and stuff, look at J6 as like we have a tyrannical government that needs to be put in check, and that's just what was happening. It wasn't, what I'm saying, like the reason why the Democrats are getting very upset and uptight, and it's not just Democrats because there's some Republicans that's actually falls right into it, that I would say that they are probably more Democratic leaning, and that's why they end up on that, what I'm saying, like they're on the like let's screw the people thing. you know they those guys are scared too. So that's why all of this committee and this, that, and the other stuff, has to go down because they got to try to discredit Trump and like they're going to the point of discrediting the people who follow Trump as if okay, now okay, now I somewhat kind of get it, but at the same time, they don't want to accept the fact that they are doing wrong, and if they can continue to to confuse the rest of the people, they'll take every chance they can to keep those people under their control. Because I feel like in most cases, that's more of what it is. They're under a spell. They're under these people's control. And that's what that whole idea, like, oh, well, this is not to, criminalize or to bring any charges up against them. It's just really to really discuss what happened that day. And it's like, okay, well, what, like, who's really speaking on this thing? Like, I mean, it's all a ploy to make this guy look bad, but he's not gonna get no criminal charge. Like, if he did wrong, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because they know, like, that the whole thing is like them trying to go after a sitting president. Like, it's open game for anybody now because
Yeah,
there's a lot.
that's why they ain't gonna do it. That's why I say it's not gonna happen. Let me play this.
Subjects that they would strike and ban. Join us there every day. Now, let's get to today's story. What is Trump up to with these rallies? Is he going to run in 2024? Who knows? Anyway, most recently, his most bold transgression is that he said that there should be a peaceful solution in the war between Russia and Ukraine. Let's have a look at what that fascist Trump said now, the peace-loving fascist pig.
We must demand the immediate negotiation of a peaceful end to the war in Ukraine, or we will end up in World War III, and there will be nothing left of our planet, all because stupid people didn't have a clue. They didn't have a clue. Clue.
I think what he's saying is difficult to argue with. We are engaged in a conflict, a proxy war, some have said, between the United States and Russia, both of whom are nuclear powers. And it's not that long ago, there was a contentious, long Cold War. The immediate aftermath of the Second World War led to two polarized powers. And, in the 80s and 90s, the Eastern Bloc somewhat crumbled, Russia reformed. Now Putin has risen to this position of supremacy. And many people say, and doubtless it's true, that he's the kind of person that would be able to run a mighty nation like Russia and would have the kind of imperialist underpinnings that you would anticipate. Doubtless, this war between Russia and Ukraine has complications. Doubtless, the war between Russia and Ukraine is causing a humanitarian crisis. But once again, we find ourselves in a position where it's left to Donald Trump to say things that other people should be saying. Donald Trump is saying there needs to be a diplomatic solution or we might find ourselves in a nuclear war. Do you not think that that's a legitimate point? Do you not think that should be utmost in your considerations? In this instance, you've got to be grateful that there's someone with a pulpit saying, I don't want a nuclear war, thanks.
They don't understand. They really don't understand. I rebuilt our military.
They rebuilt it. Like, he's got sort of a way of talking that makes you literally imagine him doing stuff to a tank and sewing uniforms and coaching people over those walls that the Marines have to climb. He's got a brilliantly solipsistic and wonderfully raw narcissism. And it shows you that there is a dearth of viable political alternatives, that seems like the most attractive option. Rather than someone that's, doddering about, hopeless, that's spent their entire career taking corporate money, that can't deliver, that says they're going to release people from prison that aren't in prison. That's the cannabis story. That says they're going to control drug prices, and we beat pharma this year in a way that didn't make no difference to pharma. We're going to make Saudi Arabia a pariah. We're just going to carry on business as usual with Saudi Arabia. If that's what's normal, then anything alternative to that is going to seem reasonable. Now, if war becomes normal, if that's the assumed position, we're in a war with Russia, we're going to continue that war. Or this seems a bit like what went on in Iraq, crossed with what went on in Afghanistan, a perpetual war that's beneficial to the military-industrial complex. We can't keep promoting to the forefront of our culture adversary and condemnation of the other without looking at what our own political positions are.
I rebuilt our nuclear power. They don't understand what they're dealing with, the power of nuclear.
They should understand the power of nuclear. I mean, we've all seen the films and the image.
It's pretty damn simple. What do y'all think? You know, freak. You know, like why is the whole media egging on this freaking war in Ukraine? And we need to help them keep spending. Now they're saying they need to build anti-missile systems because recently after they blew up the bridge, Russia retaliated with some missiles and lit they shit up, taking out infrastructure, energy infrastructure, water infrastructure, so forth and so on. So now they're like, we need to help them build some anti-missile war equipment. You see how it continues to it will continue to escalate. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna put anti-missiles in there. Well, then Russia gonna be like, okay, we're gonna use more advanced missiles. Then now they're gonna be like, well, shit, we need to put in some more advanced anti-aircraft, and it just keeps on going. Why is the whole media saying, we need to back Ukraine and we need to make sure that Russia at all costs, not take Ukraine or whatever the position, whatever the hell is going on. At all costs, we need to make sure that doesn't happen. And we don't hear nobody in the media, especially out of our politicians, saying, hey, can we just de-escalate this? This looks kind of scary. Just the direction of this is kind of scary. You're breaking up.
You can't hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Yeah, what I was saying is old people with prostate pumps pumping up their penis and saying, no, mine is bigger. Oh, wait a minute. No, mine is bigger. Like,
exactly.
It's just like it's a ridiculous cycle. Yeah, it's a ridiculous cycle that like nobody really should have to like the world, because I mean honestly the world that they're claiming they want to have, outside of like there's gonna be people that's gonna still want to have their own thing. The majority of people don't care. They like that you can have the control that you want, but you just gotta keep sharing the control with other people, because nationally these different leaders or whatever that's been doing it, like we could have more peace than to continue doing what they're doing just for one group to have power over everything. Like there's one that should be satisfied because they own already 80% of the world.
Yeah. What do you think, Deuce? You think that Trump is just saying this because that's what people want to hear so he can use it in his politics to get elected, or is Trump actually being seems like the biggest voice of reason right now?
I think I think he genuinely means it, from what he said. I mean, we all know that, this proxy war and the propaganda that they pushing and continuing to supply Ukraine, the way that we are, it's creating hostility. The hostility, the shit is in the air, bro. And we have to be mindful of that. And I don't think that none of the people, or people not just here but around the world, wouldn't want to see that shit take place, because it affects everybody. It's a trickle effect. It's gonna affect. Yeah, it's gonna affect people all over the world, bro. So but the thing about it is, man, like we talk about on this podcast all the time, the fact that true journalism is a crime now. The news outlets have been they pretty much have put the fucking key in their back to push these narratives. And and then the society that we live in now, you have where it has made it okay for people to act out and do the things that they're doing as opposed to being, more conservative and more concerned. The word humanity is damn near on the brink of non-existence anymore in this country. You know, and probably not just our country, bro. Like nobody gives a fuck no more. They've been given the key. They've been given the green light. Oh, you don't have to care no more. Oh, you just do what you want. Just think about yourself. It's all about you. And it's just nobody cares no more. And that's why these motherfuckers that are in power are continuing to win. That's why they continue to have the support that they have. You know what I'm saying? Like I remember when celebrities, people, sports players actually cared about communities. These celebrities nowadays don't give a fuck. Nigga, they'll
Well,
tell you
no,
to go
they
vote.
do. I think they do. See that's the aspect. I think they do, but because of the position that they hold, they don't want their families out on the street because now they've gotten to a point where they gotta have a certain amount of money, and their support comes from corporations,
and and,
which
and,
That,
that
but that's
and,
some bullshit because look at Marshawn Lynch. Look at this guy. The NFL thought that when he retired that he would have nothing. This guy did not spend none of his $50 million guaranteed sign-on bonus that he got up on signing with Seattle. The only money he used and spent was endorsement money to live.
but
You
that's a
know what I'm saying?
minority.
But if
yeah, I was
we,
about to say,
yeah,
they're all
I
individuals. So
get
you
that.
have
I get.
some, but look at LeBron. But I would say that Dude still has a really good point because LeBron was supposed to have an interview with Kanye West, or he already had the interview with Kanye West, and they uh, decided to cut that show because of the comments that Kanye made. You know what I'm saying? So that goes back to what Deuce is saying, that they have to make sure they protect their bag. You know what I'm saying? So certain things they're not going to be able to do because then they won't be able to be digging their bag.
Yeah,
They're gonna
That's just like
cut their bag off.
especially if you because that's the thing.
signed $1 billion time deal with Nike. He basically sold his life away. He can't speak to issues. Not if he wants to continue on with that contract with
Not
Nike.
not from his
And
not from his heart, not from his heart. That's
no,
the thing. Like he
you
can
know,
speak how they want him to speak because there's certain things that because see like there are certain things that he didn't want to speak out on the the C-19 shots and this that and the other. He just like, all right, you know what, like I'm just not. He wasn't gonna be public about his real uh how he really felt about it. So he just decided, I'm just not gonna say nothing. So they allowed him to not say nothing just to kind of keep him, like, all right, look, all right, you're not hurting us by going out and saying some stupid shit, so we can accept you not, going, it's just it's certain things like if y'all really pay attention, like you can clearly see who's on what side, who's getting paid by who. Because I mean, like as much as y'all talk about Candace Owens and she gets paid by the Republicans, there's like so many more people that we praise.
I say that all the time, man. The big money is on the Democratic side. The big money is on that side, clearly, like big, huge checks. And you are right. Them people are you breaking up. The I agree. Yeah, you still breaking up. I agree with your point though, Pat. Yeah, the checks on that side aren't as big as they are on that Democratic side. Those checks are bigger, and that's the reason why those people are even more dogmatic and they're so serious about because they got this big, huge check, bro. Like you would be serious too. That's the thing about any one of us. We don't know how we would be in that position, really. If we're honest with ourselves, because because once you become like a mascot or whatever, it's kind of like they trademarked your face and your voice. So it's like, what I mean? You can't ever say anything that's outside of whatever the hell, you know what I'm saying? Anytime. because if somebody recorded it or whatever, then boom, you're in trouble. Your donor's gonna be like, bruh, you know you're not supposed to fucking say no shit like that. You say what the hell we told you to say, and that's fucking it. I'll be talking about freaking Rachel Maddow. She's one of the highest paid people, you know? She's so ridiculously paid. So, and a lot of people really follow her and really listen to her and feel like she's coming from her heart. And, you know, but you can't believe that she's coming from her heart when she's getting paid like $1 million a day, bro. Like, just use your common sense and think about it. Like, she's one of the biggest war hawks out there, too. She's probably, I haven't watched her show in fucking years, but I'm willing to bet she was just talking about Russia and how much we need to make sure that Russia doesn't do what they're doing in fucking Ukraine. I'm willing to bet it. Somebody fucking fact check me on that. I'm willing to bet that she's done many segments saying that. Rachel Maddow.
You went out for Maddow, yeah. Okay, yeah, because you went out. Well, I don't know. At least on my end, you went out for a couple of seconds.
Rachel Maddow. I'm willing to bet she's done a lot of segments saying we need to protect Ukraine and screw Russia and da 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 da. Because I know who's paying her. Go ahead.
She is 100%. She is 100% Democratic Party. Like there's no in betweens, and like she is totally like her whole like her show is totally produced by the Republican side. I mean the Democratic side. So I mean, and you know, I know there's people who are exactly the same side. Like I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like, you know, it doesn't exist, but just like you were just saying, like it exists way more. Like they spend more.
Yeah, you're breaking up.
Okay.
Yeah, you
all right,
breaking up. Let me wait. Let me play a little bit more of while you try to get it right.
Former United States President Donald Trump has called for an immediate peaceful end to the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict. That seems okay. I hope there are not American talk shows like that are now saying, Donald Trump's been at it again, that crazy cuckoo son of a bitch, asking for peace. Trump's remarks come after Joe Biden's warning over the risk of nuclear Armageddon. Let me present you with an idea. Have you been coached into a state of idiocy? Because when Joe Biden says, if things don't change, we're on the brink of Armageddon, he's the president of the United States of America. He is in a position of some authority. He's not a news reporter, is he? Like, oh no, look what's happening. Russia is going to be... Well, why don't you change tact? Why don't you do something different? Why don't you change the shape of the negotiation? You're not like a bystander unless, of course, you sort of are. Unless, of course, the office of president is a sort of theatrical role. Unless Joe Biden is a kind of puppet. Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comments what you think. Why isn't Joe Biden saying, look, the way things are going with Russia's imperialist intentions, it looks like we could head to a nuclear war. That's why I, as your president, will assure you right now and ensure that this situation isn't going to head towards an apocalypse, because obviously, even though there's lots of complexity here, it's pretty obvious, even to a bloody idiot, that the worst of all possible scenarios is a nuclear Armageddon. I can't think of a worse one. Like, what would be worse than that? Like, also, we blew up Saturn as well. Also, the concept of God is gone now. Also, submolecular stuff. I mean, like a nuclear war, that's literally the doomsday scenario, isn't it? Compared to nuclear Armageddon, which we're all sort of not properly factoring, anything is favorable, isn't it? Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comments.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, you sound loud and clear.
Look, I think that's some of the uncalculated views that, you know, the people that's coming up with the plans that they're doing, because like they're so far into their own agendas, you know, and just trying to do what they, you know, to accomplish their goals, that they're not like looking at what other people, how other people see it, because like, I mean, this guy, he's supposed to be a bumbling fool comedian, like he's just a, weird guy, whatever. But I mean, he's able to clearly see that, bro, like when you're in the position, like you can say all these things about what we could potentially come into if nothing happens. And it's like, okay, so what are you gonna do? Like, people are kind of like looking to say, okay, so if that's the case, so what are you gonna do? But they make it seem like there's nothing they can do. No, you're like, you have the power. You've always had the power in this to slow it down, because those who's actually paid attention, who's remembers what was being called peace talks, a year or so ago, when a lot of this stuff was going on, when Russia was almost begging, look, just don't bring those damn your start setting up your bringing your missiles and your all this stuff setting up in Ukraine. Like, if y'all stop doing that, we cool. Like, there's some of us that actually remembers that, but a lot of people don't pay enough attention to all like the things that's happening internationally, so they don't know that. They don't know that those are some of the things that was happening in the beginning. So, like, and it was a push from Joe Biden and his crew. Like, we got to, of course, I don't think it was him personally, but that's who's going to get credit for it, because he's the president.
Well, let me ask y'all a question, because Russell Brand asked it in a video, and it's interesting. He said, "Do y'all think that Joe Biden is just a puppet?" And that's the reason why he made that comment of like,
1,000%. 1,000%. He's got a. I honestly think that Kamala is his handler, and she's not the boss, but she's the one that tries to keep him in control.
Mhm.
That's what you think too, Deuce? He's a puppet?
Shit, you can tell. Yeah, that shit written all over the place.
Like, that ain't no argument.
Yeah, they put her in the office because they know that he was one of the most racist white dudes that secretly like black women. So they put her in there, and she played that song by YoungBoy. She gonna put that pussy on me.
See, if y'all remember, she was the
Stupid,
one
bro.
she was the one out front in the beginning, until people start talking about her track record, and then that's when she really lost momentum,
Yeah,
when
that's the
people start.
one. They wanted her to be the president, but it didn't work
Yes.
out. Yeah.
Exactly. So, and then but they still was able to get her into office, VP,
Yeah.
as a VP. So, I
That's
mean,
why.
that's the, like, a lot of people, like, they don't know, like someone saying, like, I really wish people really understood more of the details. Like, I mean, am I in there, from segment to segment and this, that? No, but I mean, I have definitely been paying attention, and like, that was, she
I
was,
followed that primary heavily. I followed that
yes,
shit all the way from the beginning, the whole way. I followed it because I'm a freaking Bernie Sanders fan, and if he would have won the first time, I think the whole thing would be different. But whatever. I want to move on to this L.A. Did y'all hear the city council thing where the lady said
yes,
the monkey, all that? That's what I
yes.
want to go to now. What do y'all think about that? I'm gonna play this clip though.
I didn't even hear about
Uh,
that, bro. Y'all gotta
Okay.
excuse my
well,
lack of news media.
I'm like the late, because I don't know which you're gonna play, but Democracy Now had a video, and they had this what they're calling indigenous, some lady that was over indigenous something, and which irritates me, because she's, but however, I mean, she's some kind of indigenous leader, but she was like, I don't know how people are surprised. Like, this is stuff is like, been going on forever. Like, we, like, uh, like, why are y'all in, y'all in such an uproar? I mean, I appreciate, like, she's like glad that people are having a conversation, and something's, actually happening, with this now, but uh but
Well,
shoot,
well, it's another ploy for us division and shit, but it still points to some realities though, right? So because the thing is that these are Hispanic people, and it's like the black and brown people, they always say black people and brown people or whatever, right? So but then so in this scenario you got the brown people being racist to the black people. You get what I'm saying? So it's kind of like that's what makes it like a thing, because of course this is in California, so that's like probably the only place in the United States that this kind of dynamic would really play out on a freaking stage this large. You know what I'm saying? So
I don't know.
But because of the huge Hispanic population, like maybe it could happen in Texas, but it's too many white people over here. It's a lot of freaking blacks and Hispanics over here, especially in LA. This is in LA.
Well, see, but this is one of the things that like it's hard to to have statistics on what people feel. So, that's one thing that we can't really calculate a whole bunch of, but this is one of those things that like Tariq Nasheed talks about a lot that I'm torn about because it's that like me personally, I haven't really, dealt with it a lot of time. Like I said, I mean, I'll be around other truck drivers who, we have our own kind of culture, but, there's a lot of people that's out there that is trying to replace what we call whiteism. You know what I'm saying? Like, they want to like be the race, like, treat minorities the way that, they even were treated at
Right.
some, at some
Like
point.
honorary white and shit.
Yeah.
I might play a clip. Ose Frimpong was talking about that, and he's like, maybe we need to sit down and have a conversation about this. Like he's talking about like the black people and the brown people, basically saying like the Hispanics and the black people need to sit down and have a conversation about this and be like,
they're the closest people to us. Like it's for like yes, they have a bunch of what we consider to be whiteness in them, but like they're told like their whole community, like the you know Hispanic community, comes out directly out of black people and and white people. So I guess you can take your choice. You rather be more like them or whatever. But I mean, come on. I mean,
yeah. So I want to get to this clip, and it's crazy though. Y'all know I'm learning Spanish, and so but this word that they use to call the kid monkey is a word that I hadn't heard. So it's kind of like it's like the slang terms. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not real Spanish type shit. Like you know what I mean? Because I don't know these words. Like big people, they teach
no,
me them.
it's more Spanish than you know. Like that's the thing. Like
It's
it's the secret parts of it. So that's the
yeah.
part that's deeper embedded than like I said, we realize.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I didn't think about it like that. Let me play this. I don't know what clip this is because I'm trying to be careful about which one I play. Hold on. Okay, wait, that was the clip.
There's this white guy with this little black kid who's misbehaved. The kid is bouncing off the effing walls on the floor, practically tipping it over. There's nothing you can do to control him. I
am still trying to wrap my head around everything that was said and everything that is happening. My husband and I are both raw and angry and heartbroken and sick for our family and for Los Angeles.
We have Charles Du, lives via the way.
Asking.
Man, I apologize. I didn't watch this clip. This is a horrible clip. I freaking.
Yeah, I couldn't even hear her say nothing.
Yeah. Fuck,
was
that
like
was a
doom, 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 doom.
Yeah, that was a terrible click. I'm sorry, y'all. Well, let me see if I can find something better.
Well, cause
Freaking
see, well, let me just kind of, I guess while you find something, the white guy that was just talking, him and his, his gay husband had adopted a black child. The lady, that one of I think the president of that board said some things like, you know, about the fact that okay, their monkey child, and then it's like forget that guy or screw this guy, f that guy, whatever, how it is said in Spanish, because he's with the blacks.
yeah, and she's called the kid a monkey. It's a derogatory way of calling a little boy a monkey.
Is there any good way to call a little boy a monkey? I don't know. I'm not sure, Chaka. I mean, you got to point that out for me how that would be said, because I think at any point somebody using that terminology, for anybody is probably going to be looked at as, it's like, you know, I don't think it's going to be accepting for anybody really. But, and I think that, I mean, there was a lot of stuff like, there was a guy that quit his job or resigned because he was there and didn't check her on her how she
Yeah,
was talking.
I think now all 4 of the people that were on the call are no longer part of the thing.
Yeah, like he did. There's some of the people that didn't even say anything, but just the fact that they sat there and listened to it and never checked it are gone. So that's like one of the things that I think that is maybe will help change some of the dynamics, because I mean, of course, I don't think they thought that this would come out to the public, based on who was there, like, because
Of course not.
this
It was
was
a
also,
private. It was a private like Zoom call
yeah,
or
but
whatever.
somebody was like, you know what, here's my chance to get my power.
Man,
We can get
you
these,
know that
cause
shit was gonna go out to the media, bro. You couldn't even thought that it wasn't by, because for the simple fact that everything is based off of race baiting. Oh, look at what this Hispanic lady said about black people. She called this little black baby a monkey instead of, like, that shit was gonna
well,
get out. Ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about that.
honestly, I think most of that stuff is probably trapped in a lot of people. Like, I mean, I believe it does happen quite a bit, and even some black people over here and just they never say anything about it. It just is what it is, because a lot of them want just to be a part of that community. They want to be a part of those quote unquote leaders, but and they won't actually say anything in the moment because what's going to happen to them, and maybe they're the ones that's going to get kicked out, and not, even though they may not agree with it, but a lot of them don't say anything, which is a big problem. And I hope that's a part of what will change, not just in LA but all across the country, because people realize that
They used to have those statues in
Sorry. I was looking for a good
everything
one.
that
Go ahead.
that everything that they've been working for can be, you know, wiped away within moments. Their families, the way that they take care of their family, these governmental positions that become cush positions can be, like, these people probably thought that, this midterm they will be reelected and be going on and continue to do what they've been doing. Like, most of these people don't even have an option, like, don't even have a chance now. So
I really want all the audio sound kind of bad. Maybe if I get one that's kind of explaining it, it'll be better. Hold on, let me see.
The American people that is a sleeping giant right now that is being woken up.
City Council scandal involving racist comments that were leaked online. Last October, 3 LA City Council members, Nuri Martinez, Kevin De Leon, and Gil Cedillo, had a closed-door meeting with LA County Federation of Labor President Ron Herrera. The meeting was secretly recorded, posted on Reddit, and first reported by the Los Angeles Times, capturing the group making racist comments and plotting political power grabs.
So you'll start seeing them line up.
That's Nuri Martinez. She became the first Latina president of the LA City Council in 2019. She resigned after the Times published the audio recordings.
I'm not putting that deal with anybody because I don't know. I don't know that he can win.
So what was the meeting about? Redistricting, the process of drawing lines that determine which voters vote for which representative. In LA, there are 15 council districts. Their boundaries get redrawn every 10 years, and the city council approves them. Which brings us back to that October meeting.
I mean, I'm hoping that you guys can all figure this redistricting out because I just need you elected.
And this is Ron Herrera. He's the president of the most powerful coalition of unions in the country. He also resigned shortly after the audio tapes were made public. He talks about preserving power by creating favorable district lines.
I get what we have to do, right? Just massage to create districts that benefit you all.
The lines can be drawn to include valuable assets like universities and stadiums, as Martinez notes in this comment.
If you want to make like boss moves, I would go after the airport.
Martinez recalls a conversation she says she had with LA businessman Danny Bakewell, in which she recommended Councilmember Marquise Harris Dawson take LAX away from fellow Councilmember Mike Bonin.
Go get the airport from his little brother, that little Bonin. I go, where's with the Bonin? Where's with Bonin? I said, Bonin is black. That guy don't think he's black. I go, he thinks he's black.
She then goes on to attack Bonin's son, who is black. Bonin is white.
They're raising him like a little white kid, which I was like, this kid needs a beat down. Like, let me take him around the corner and then I'll bring him back.
Kevin De Leon then says Bonin handles his son like an accessory.
And then when Nuri brings her little yard bag or the Louis Vuitton bag, it's like.
De Leon was most recently a candidate for the mayor of Los Angeles. Their disdain for Mike Bonin may be explained by this statement from De Leon.
Mike Bonin won't ever say people are Latino. He'll never say
Mike Bonin is not the group's only target.
It serves us to not give her all of K-Town. Because if you do, that solidifies her renter's district, and that is not a good thing for any of us.
On the tape, Martinez, Cedillo, and De Leon plot to cut fellow councilmember Nithya Raman's district to their advantage.
She's not going to help us. Her district is not a district we can count on.
So you're saying that's the one that put in the blender and chop off left and right?
Well, that's what they did.
Yeah.
The conversation is laced with coarse comments and insults about colleagues and LA residents. Here's Martinez talking about a Jewish associate.
The Judíos cut their deal with Southside. That's how I say it. And they're going to screw everybody else.
And an assembly member of Armenian descent.
The guy with the one eyebrow.
And the Oaxacan population.
Yeah, let's go pick them.
Yeah.
I see a lot of
little short, dark people.
Yeah.
So why does all of this talk about race and redistricting matter? Because representation is power. The scandal also raises questions that some politicians, even those in one of the most diverse cities in the world, use racism to attack anyone standing in the way of their agenda.
They didn't play the worst comment, the one where she called the little boy a monkey. They didn't play that one. That was the worst one.
Yeah. Well, and the fact, and you know what? I guess when they talk bad about the guy, is because it's like he's raising this kid like a white kid because he's just kind of letting him just act out.
Yeah,
Just do
she
whatever.
said he's treating him like an accessory. She said he's like a bag or something to him. And she said the little kid is wild. She said they're bringing him in there with all the little white kids. He's in there with the little white kids, and he's a little black kid, and he's like a little monkey bouncing around the jumpy thing and shit. Yeah, it was pretty bad. So, but you know that the whole there's a case in the Supreme Court related to redistricting right now that they are deliberating, trying to say that it's racist. But the Supreme Court, the people have to prove that it's racist the way that they're using the gerrymandering in certain districts, in a specific district for the case.
Yeah.
But you know, most likely it's going to get kicked down. So, but how it's going to be kicked down is what's important. So, anyways, that's related to this because that's what they were talking about in their meeting. You know what I'm saying? And the white guy. So, what's up with the black kid anyway? So he must have adopted the kid, right?
Yeah. He's gay. Him and his partner cannot create, so they adopt it. So
yeah. So I can't help but to think that there's other things going on behind the scenes related to this because me watching politics so much, there's always like maybe these people were actually about to do something good for the people. I don't know anything about what the situation.
I'm with that.
And then you have somebody who don't want them to do that. So then they've been looking and looking, trying to find something that they can use to get them up out of there. And then boom, they find this Zoom call and it's perfect. Boom, leak it and make them quit and shit and make the people go at their ass. And this kind of goes back to the outrage culture thing. You know what I'm saying? Creating a situation to get everybody outraged so they're distracted from whatever the hell. Like I say, how inept is the politics going to be there in LA right now?
Well, I'm sure there's plenty of able bodies, and like I said, whoever's going to replace them, I mean, doesn't necessarily say that they're going to get anything better or worse. I mean, it can go either way, but I think that this does give an opportunity to serve a point to, like be more conspicuous with your bullshit. Like, what I'm saying? Like, hide your racism again. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, that's really because it's not going to change. Like I was saying earlier, you can't really, get a statistic on how people feel because they can lie. You know what I'm saying? Like, you won't know. So, I mean, these people might be out of the picture, but at the same time, you get the same kind of people right back in office because somehow that's what happens.
Yep, that's what I be saying, man. That's really sad. That other dude, Tuberville, he made some comments talking about they want reparations.
People say, well, there's
here, let me play it right here.
So this is Tuberville talking at a rally in Nevada to his faithful, and we'll figure out who the faithful are. But he's a senator from Alabama.
Some people say, well, they're soft on crime. No, they're not soft on crime. They're pro-crime. They want crime. They want crime because they want to take over what you got. They want to control what you have. They want reparation because they think the people that do the crime are owed that. Bull. Some people say, well, they're soft on crime. No, they're not soft on crime. They're pro-crime. They want crime. They want crime because they want to take over what you got. They want to control what you have. They want reparation because they think the people that do the crime are owed that. Bull.
Like, what do you think he meant? It's like a bit to decipher that. So it's like, who is he talking about? Yeah, is he talking about black folks or is he talking about Democrats? Because that's another part I was thinking about.
But to him, that's one and the same.
Okay.
All right. And then I mean, because like the Democrats help black people, or allow them to do crime because they both trying to do the same thing.
And
they're trying to steal your shit.
And then it's an interesting thing that I think about when I think about his comments. It's like, so these people are like, man, I'm gonna get my reparations. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna give it to me. I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna take it through crime. So, but then I think about how like was not the Atlantic slave trade a crime?
Well, I mean, a lot of people know that shit never happened.
Well, let's just say slavery, forced labor.
Well, okay, for slavery. Okay, yeah. Like I mean, yeah, that has happened. But you know, yes, it was a crime, but it was also no, it was. I guess really, it wasn't a crime because it was legal, and especially during war, like that's the whole thing. Like most people look at it like, look, it was legal, it was like enforced or allowed to happen through government structure. So which I mean is 1,000% true. Like that's why one of the reasons why people are saying like, shit, you got better chances of getting reparations based on what just happened in from 2019 to now than you do for slavery.
Yeah.
Maybe even going back to Jim Crow and things that we can actually calculate that what just happened like in more recent times than what happened in slavery, because I mean there were laws. I mean, honestly, like, I mean, slavery is still happening. It just it was revisioned and repurposed, and we still have a sense of what was happening
I
then
ain't gonna
happening
lie.
now.
You make a good point on that. I ain't gonna lie. I like to hear the guy say reparations, even though he's saying it in the wrong way. But I love to hear him say it. And then it's like, it kind of shows something, like the conversation, the reparations were being, falling around all over the place, and even though in this context it's like, oh, they want their reparations. So but then it's like, but then it kind of points to like, this guy must feel like they must be owed reparations for making the comments still. This is me on the psychology side. What do y'all think?
No, I get it, because see, that's the whole thing. I mean, him having the conversation legitimizes to some extent the whole conversation of reparations. And even though he's showing anger, but subconsciously, just the fact that he feels like this is something to discuss, he's legit, at the same time legitimizing it.
Yeah.
So I mean, but like most he has to be a Republican, because that's one thing that most Democrats are outlawed to even speak on. You know what I'm saying? So it's it's a crazy dynamic, but I mean, I think that there's so much hatred built up into what he's saying, or what he his message was just, I don't know, like he he subliminally called us niggas about 8 times.
It was a hateful speech right there, but I could definitely feel your emotion. Like, I bet you the people got in the crowd stood up and cheered.
Yeah, like their emotions was like, it was, some of them was like on the verge of crying. It's like, he feels me, like, yeah, it's crazy, bro.
Like go ahead and say it, brother.
I've always kind of just heard it, because I and I still just not, I wasn't really looking, because a lot of times I like to look at the reactions of the people in the in the background, to see what how they're taking what he's saying, his speech. But
I want to play a little bit of Osei Frimpong's response.
That was a segment so nice, I ran it twice. And what does that mean? Who is he talking to, and who is he talking about? black people. He was talking about when he said that they want reparations. He was conflating criminals with black people and saying he was not us, right? So when people say like, I mean, you can't call the whites the whites. Yeah, who do you think they were that he was referring to, and who do you think the us, our, that personal pronoun that he was referring to? He was talking about the whites, and they were talking about the blacks. I just say the whites and the blacks because I'm not into using personal pronouns so much as I'll call the proper name, capital whites, capital W whites. So the whites are worried about us taking their stuff, and that's what he's worried about, and that's how he's ginning up the whites in possession of their stuff. Their ill-got gains. The problem is their stuff isn't legitimately there. So what he's doing, first of all, we got to get rid of the notion that there's, somehow enough for everybody. Some people are going to have to take a haircut. Some people's quality of life and expectations are going to have to take a hit if black people are going to be made whole, because so much of America and American aspirations and life plans depend on a racial hierarchy that's not going anywhere, right? That needs to be maintained. Right. So he's worried about these people are going to screw up the hierarchy that undergirds your life. Make black people whole, like that's going to take something from you. And they're right. I think we're going
to have to work.
Yes. White people who expect their kids to have the same perks and if those perks include being able to treat black people like garbage, like trash, they expect their kids to be able to have the same perks that they have. Those perks are going to go away. And in a state like Alabama or Georgia, where there are a lot of black people, that means a world where we have to actually share power with black people is going to look markedly different. It's going to look a lot different. And he's saying it's gonna feel like they're taking your stuff, and he's right. It's gonna feel like we're taking your stuff because the stuff shouldn't be yours. It's like going to someone who stole your car and then taking your car back. They're gonna feel like you took their car, but it's okay. The car was never theirs. Or even, let's say working laundry through a few generations, the car was still never theirs, right? So the idea that the whites will unify around not paying reparations or making black people whole is something that we have to actually consider, because that's the defining characteristic of white identity, which is why other people who are not pigmentation wise white can become white as long as they're willing to treat black people, especially descendants of slaves, like trash. As long as you're willing to treat black people like trash, you are honorary white, provisionally. I did another episode on provisional whiteness, and how that could be taken away if you beat white people at their own game. They get mad. Just ask Asians in California. They started scoring too well on the SAT, so now the SAT doesn't mean anything. So if you're willing to treat black people like trash, you can be considered provisionally white. And that's what they unify around. And that is a problem if you care about black justice. It's also a problem if you think, well, we should all just unify around a working class identity. No, white people don't want their kids to necessarily be working class. They want their kids to enjoy the perks of whiteness. And they definitely don't want their kids to be treated like we treat black people. So they'll unify around that before they'll unify around working class identity. That's not the identity. That's not the aspiration they have for their kids. The aspirations and the identities they have for their kids are not to be treated like Negroes. And if that means making sure we treat Negroes like Negroes, that's what they're going to pass on. So this idea that you get to pick and determine what other people unify around, what identities unify around, or you can just kind of ignore what they unify around, that's ridiculous. That's like people in Palestine or Jews in Nazi Germany deciding to ignore the Nazis unifying around like Aryan identity. Well, we could all just be working class. You don't have to unify around. You should just recognize yourself as a German, or recognize yourself as a human. And where they're like, no, we want to recognize ourselves as Nazis and Aryans, and your problem. So if you don't, so what y'all think? I'll say friend problem put y'all to sleep.
No, I'm crunk. He, like, I actually had a point that I kind of slipped away, but honestly, like, that is one of their biggest fears is sharing power. It's like You know, what the hell have we been working on for the last 250 to 300 years? Like, like why are we gonna change up now?
Those niggas
Like,
can't be equal to us. Enough
like
as
we've
it
done
is, we
we've
got
done
too many of them
everything.
that are millionaires.
Yeah, we've done everything in our power to, subjugate them, and like some of them still sneak through, but for the most part, like we have control over the blacks. Okay, so we got to keep it that way. We can let a few of them in and make them feel like they still have something to aspire to, but we got to keep our foot on their necks. That's pretty much their a lot of their. I mean, and that's the ones that do hold some power because, I mean, like just like in anything, it's always a few that really has the power that's gonna really maybe even speak like this, because there's like so many poor white people that they just don't, like they don't fuck with either. They almost see them like, you know, light skinned black people. You know what I'm saying? And because I'm like, okay, like, because we can all have our own different communities, and because there's always going to be the majority that's going to need work and things like that, and we can have our own stuff if y'all want to have it that way. Just hire your own people, y'all have y'all little corner, y'all go in and let that be that. And but I don't know, bro, it's really hard for them to imagine, because like, a lot, even though they knew that, like, the lies that were spread, they knew that they were lies, but like at the same time they started to believe their own lies, that you know they have to hide the you know our, like, look, they have books that they go, like, they know what our melanin is. Like, our melanin is like vibranium. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's, what I'm saying, it has a value on the stock market. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a high technology that we have above them. So they know that if we're put on the same level, that it won't be that for very long, because we're gonna exceed, you know, all expectations.
Man, I gotta deal with something that's urgent. It's probably gonna take me like 15 minutes. I'm gonna let y'all go. Just
Uh-oh.
like
You
don't
don't have
say.
a video?
I could play a video, but y'all could just talk about whatever. Just don't say nothing too crazy that's gonna get me shut down.
Us shut down? Shit, you don't get shut down by yourself.
Yes, I don't. Yeah, we don't want to be shut down. So that's all. And I'm gonna just run and try to do this. I'll be back.
Make it 10 minutes. Deuce.
Yeah, what's going on?
What we gonna do about it, bro? Where we gonna go with this conversation for, since the boss gone? We're gonna throw a
Shit.
party and just,
Hey man, I was sitting back thinking about this shit like the it probably wouldn't be a bad idea if the aliens came through and took all the black folks, and we conjure up some type of idea to work against these white motherfuckers.
what was, I don't know. There's a lot of conversation out there that has been happening for many years. Is that, like, this whole world was created. Like, originally the aliens made black people slaves, and then it was us that started creating things out of us to make them slaves, so we didn't have to do the work. So, you know, uh, I don't know, bro. It's crazy, because I mean, honestly, over time, you know, really a lot of it doesn't matter, and you know, humanity is at altogether, I think, is uh somewhat, to some extent, declining because of not, us not holding the best moral values, and allowing the allowing the people who think that going against nature is okay. Like, and sitting around and just allowing those things to happen in mass is taken away from, because I mean, there's gonna be good and bad, you know what I'm saying, or at least what we consider to be good and bad. It's just that we can't allow too much of any one thing to overtake our
Yeah.
our governments and our values. Yeah. So we gotta have some. That's one of the things that I feel like, like our value system is getting depleted. Like, we're just getting to the point where we allow anything to happen instead of, okay, all right, look, you got to keep a check on it, because I mean, when we start making laws for negative things to be okay, we we're taken away from our own growth. Like, we gotta be like, look, let's move, let's move away from all the debauchery. Let's, like, try to find ways to be fair with each other. We all are, you know ordained by God to be ourselves, but do we really have to, you know create laws that's going to cement
Yeah.
the BS, So I don't know.
Yeah. But that's the thing, man. It's not nothing that's really fair. There's no balance. It's an unlevel playing field in a lot of instances. Yeah.
Um,
So
so you feel like there has to be someone on top, like there can never be a true, like a world where things are, shared fairly. Like, somebody's got to be the boss, and
no, 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 no. I don't necessarily feel that way. I feel like it shouldn't be this whole classism, you over me, you over me over you. I don't feel like it should be. I feel like that it should be balanced. I feel like, if it's balanced, and we can have a better society. We can have more humanity. I think will come back. Right now, the way things are, people resort to being fucking savages. And when you have this ideology of being a savage, and I'm gonna get it, no, I'm gonna get it the best way I can, since they won't, let me win, or since they won't give me a helping hand. You create the society in which we live in. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? And then people that are living below the poverty line, and ain't got shit, they feel, in their mind, they feel like what they're doing, at the core of them, they know that it's wrong, but in their mind, they feel like it's right, because it's like, fuck, I gotta get it some way. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And that's why you have the society in which we live in, bro. Like, this whole idea that one race or one thing is over another, that's bullshit. You know what
Well,
I'm saying? It shouldn't be like that. It should be balanced across the top. Yes, I do feel like we need leaders that can have the right temperament, that can be transparent, and open-minded, you know. But that's not to say that they reign all power over everything. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like, I don't feel like that needs to be. But the playing field is not level, bro. You know, we got people that feel like the savage life is what they have to do. That mentality is what they have to be, because, or
Well,
whatever their circumstances are.
do you think, because we were first considered the savages, when we were the when they came, when the Europeans came, the dark skinned ones and the light ones, the light skinned ones, it didn't we're not gonna go, we're considered that really a thing. But just the fact that when they came here, they started saying that we were savages. We were, like, is it because of the power we held at the time, or is it, like, did they, become us? Like, did they start, emulating the things that we did, and now they're the ones that are the savages, and um, you know, trying to because I mean, as far I might be wrong, but from what I understand is that we've always been a fair people, and we've shared our land to a lot of extents, because you know what people think for to some extent was stolen land. Our government, like the Iroquois nation, some of what we might consider the Cherokee nation or whatever, that developed the first constitutions ever, were they were leasing land to Europeans for them to come and build it up and do different things, or to, I don't know, like, whatever. But would you consider that you know like, I guess I'm trying to, I guess, determine the difference between who we were then and who they are now, and vice versa?
I would say that they were the savages. Just looking at what they did to the indigenous people when they came over here, and how, you know, we were the ones that tried to help and show them how to do certain things. And I honestly think they knew how to do certain things already, but it was a way to get on the inside, to ultimately take over, because that's what they set out to do. I think that was their motives, before, when they settled over here, when they came here, you know,
Well,
uh, just looking at the history of the how do you call it? Is it the monarchy? Looking at the history of them and what they have done around the world for for centuries, it's just they were already those people. You know, look at how they ruled over that way. Look at what they did in the countries around there. Like, at the end of the day, I think that they were, and at the core of them, that's who they are. And if they can't control, they feel that they're nothing, so they have to remain in power. I think they are the ones that believe in, one world order, one world ruler, and
well,
everybody is beneath. If you're not born into that and you're not of that, you're beneath them, and you don't deserve to live like they live and have the luxuries of life, and you should work, and that's just what I believe. And I could be very well be wrong. I'm still learning myself a lot of the history, you know what I'm
well,
saying? But that's
well,
just the way they
well,
seem.
what if they never stole any land? What if the transfers of power was given to them? What if that was true?
I mean, that could be a possibility. I mean, if I mean, that would be a pretty sad thing if it was. I don't really know that it was necessarily given to them, though. I think it was taken.
Yeah, well, I think that's one of the misconceptions, is that it was taken. Because, I mean, I guess at some point, like, they overstepped some boundaries, but a lot of what, when you look at, like, actual history, we look at the transfer of the Continental Congress and the Confederacy into the United States of America was totally, like, agreements and signed, like these are contracts that were signed at higher levels. Like there was even like parts of the land, like the 13 colonies, a lot of those colonies, that stuff was sold to the king and queen of the Europe, um, from this side, um, in like back in the you know s- late 1500s, early 1600s. I mean, the Bible that came up in the 1619, um, it was a 16, no, six. The Bible was, I think, like the 1611, and then a few short years later, that's when they start talking about the slave trade. And like if you look up the Virginia Company, if you look that up, like a lot of that stuff was happening just after that. So King James, I think not long after that, King Ferdinand and Isabella, all these people started kind of showing up, um, here in the United States. uh, Charlotte, North Carolina. I mean, a lot of these things, I don't know if that was, her being a princess or whatever at that time, but if you really kind of, look at these different things and put them together, you can see more that this was, something that was more uh, directed than, some kind of more of a takeover than, but that's just what we were fed. That's the type of lies that we're fed, is that, oh, they just came over here and started, you know, you know, enslaving us and this and that and the other. If that's the case, then what type of right did they have to do that? Or were we that? Were we really that sucker or bitches to, for that to happen that way? I don't think so. I mean, I don't think it really happened that way.
Yeah,
But,
you may
but
very well be right, bro. I'm not gonna say you wrong. Because like I say, at the end of the day, there's a lot that I'm still learning. I don't know all there is to be known, and that's why
I don't either. I mean,
I try not to just paint a picture or say, "Oh, the Europeans, they were totally wrong. They did this, doing that." At the end of the day, until we truly know, we're all kind of enslaved by what we believe. You
Well,
know,
I think to some extent, because like even the documents that was made that really, legally consider us slaves, because like, me and Chaka was talking about, I think you might have been there. You probably was listening in, when we was discussing like the Magna Carta and the Doctrine of Discovery, and these are things that was made, created by, because one of the misconceptions is, even though we're talking about Europe, a lot of these things we look at Europe as being majority white now, but during that time, that's not necessarily the case. We gotta really look at, like, you know the Moors that got expelled out of Spain and France, and um well, at the time, we're gonna say Andalus and Corsica, and you know what the Scotland, like all these different places where, melanated people were being expelled from, because mostly it's what we call Spain now, Al Andalus, like these were black people that had been there for centuries. Like they had a rule for over 700 years or so, after, them, getting the Europeans out of, um darkness, what we call, when they was going through their black plagues, and not knowing how to bathe and all these different things. So those were Moors, but those Moors were also Jews and Christians and Muslims. So, we're looking at different, people, they're separated usually by religion, but something that was most common with a lot of them were they were black.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and this is, and shit. We're looking at Europe. It's on the back end of Asia, but I mean, it's really like almost really kind of like North Africa because I mean, it's so close. Like, you can just pretty much walk right into Africa in some parts, especially like Spain. Spain is like, shoot, a boat ride in some parts right into Africa.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna. I mean, it's still a lot to be taught, a lot to be known as it pertains to that. You know, slavery, all of that shit. You know what I'm saying? And I think that because of a lot of the history that we don't know, I think that's another reason why they're able to toy with us about the whole
Lie? You
the
mean
whole
lie?
rep yeah,
Oh yeah,
Lord,
yeah.
about the whole reparations things because we're having this conversation right now and the shit could very well come out and say, well, hell, y'all gave us power over y'all. Y'all signed it over. Here are the documents.
Well, well,
I mean, so we have to. I don't know, bro.
well.
It's
It's a lot to that story, and I think the route you was going, the towing is probably a good, you would, uh, because they are playing with the emotions of the people, and like I go back to the last week's conversation, like people, like they're doing all these things as deflection, like we got everybody talking about, these different things. It's like, okay, food is getting more expensive. Everything is like, you know, di- food, gas, clothing, like everything to live is gotten more expensive. Um, yeah, reparations will be good, but it doesn't really put us right directly on the verge of growth. Because I mean, if shit, reparations really could be like if they could get inflation down to back what it was in the 70s, shit, we can keep the same kind of pay. Shit, I mean, we'll be balling, all of us.
yep.
You know what I'm saying? If they could reverse some of the inflation, that could change everything. So I mean, it really just, I think that, we get caught up in conversations like, like us, like last night we was talking about the Kanye thing, Candace Owens, and all these different things. Like, I think that, listening to them, because like I really still think that Kanye has, like he's trying to prove a point that he's not really unlocking, because some of the people that he's attacking has a big influence on oppressing the masses, and it's not just black people, but a lot of times that that's we're the ones that's magnifying in it because it justifies it, to some extent, based on our colors, at least who we're calling the Jewish people, for the most part are white, and then us being black, like it's somewhat justified to some extent on worldwide why it's okay, but then they can't justify why there's such a large percentage of white people that's doing bad. You know what I'm saying? That's like that's the part, and they try to hide that. They try to keep that away, and by Kanye doing that, like it's supposed to start up a conversation where, well, what do you mean? But it's just got more hatred from everybody, because those who understands what he's saying, don't want him to let the cat out the bag, and the ones that don't really understand what he's saying is like, well, how could he do that to us? It's just like,
Yeah.
I just it's really so many different factors.
But I
It's
think a
like
lot of black people won't understand what he's saying because most black people, even the ones that
too
are
emotional.
somewhat, yeah, even the ones that are somewhat educated or are educated, they allow their emotions to get in the way of what he's actually putting out there, you know. And that's the thing, I heard a couple of black celebrities say, well, we know white people are oppressed, but God damn it, right now it's not about them, it's about us. And it's like, okay, well, do you understand in order for this shit to ever get right, we got to look at this shit on a broad spectrum.
Well, and we gotta look at it if and for the most part, most people who are under the civil laws, civil rights, and or whatever, like honestly, like you really don't want it to keep being imbalanced
Yeah, we
all
got to have
across.
balance.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I mean, we can't, like if they, because honestly, if we really look at it, if black people really get reparations, shit, there's some people that's not gonna be happy to see that and like won't sleep until like they can kill as many black people as they could because like they're so angry, like they feel like they should be getting something too, and it's like and I think that's I guess like to some extent when Kamala had, because I mean look, I think black people deserve to get reparations, because I know some people gonna be like, oh man, look, this is that shit but I'm just really looking at like cause and effect, like you know what I'm saying, if we don't look at the imbalances of what's really happening around the world, because yeah, they talk about us being at a certain percentage or whatever of like yeah, we probably need it more as a group, but totally like shit, the whole country really needs a revamp. Like many people, like we're not the only ones that's losing jobs and the way to take care of our families. You know what I'm saying? Like we're, you know, it doesn't take, because America is robbing from not just us. That's the parts that we still need to see. And, like I said, I think us, like reparations would be us reclaiming the country and actually doing what's right by each other. Like a bunch of these people have been here for, over a century or 2 centuries already. So this is very much their home. We're not trying to get rid of nobody, but we like everybody that's here should be able to live, eat, like have a place to live, have, be able to provide for their families, and you know, like that's just a given to me. Like, but it's not an easy conversation. It's not one of those things that we're just gonna, totally like, get overnight. So, you know, y'all, like I mean, and people could look at me however they want based on, what I'm saying. Like I totally I'm not making up, just some crazy talking points or whatever. I think this is real stuff we need to deal with. But, regardless of how much black people deserve um reparations, like if they actually just turn around and say, all right, all black people get reparations, like does that turn into a war right afterwards, a civil war, an inward war, because the government has taken care of one group of people and not the rest? And like you got to remember how people think. I mean, those are things that we're gonna have to deal with. So I mean, we can get a check, but then I mean, if we can't enjoy it, then what's the point?
Yeah.
I'm back, y'all. I hope y'all didn't say anything too crazy.
Man, we said
Oh,
a whole lot.
shit, you
Pat was talking about
don't go
the people
say, but
Kanye was talking about and how
hey,
bad they
don't
are.
go back and listen to this, okay?
Let me play this Malcolm X quote right here.
Yeah.
very simple answer to one question. Do you hate all white people? I don't think it's a fair question. My attitude, the white man doesn't even come into my attitude. Mr. Muhammad teaches us to love our own kind and let the white man take care of himself. For a white man today, sir, after kidnapping millions of black people from Africa, stripping them of all human characteristics and relegating them to the role of chattel or cattle or animals, commodity, merchandise that could be bought and sold at will, and then 100 years since the Emancipation Proclamation, using every type of deceptive method to further us into slavery, called second-class citizenship, I think that it would take a whole lot of nerve for white people today to ask Negroes, do they hate them? Okay. Very simple answer to one question. Do you hate?
There's a part of that clip that's missing. Well, he says, you know, the phrasing of all white people. And he's like, no, I don't hate all white people. Anyways.
Yeah, I mean, it takes a lot of ignorance to really hate. Like, I mean, you have to not understand a lot about the world you live in to just hate everybody. You know, you're unlived. You haven't really lived because, I mean, I don't know. I mean, uh, I guess the context always matters, but you know, like I said, I mean, overall, shit. There's shit. What about the white people? Like, every white person hasn't done us wrong.
Oh wait, here's the part that's missing right here. It's they somebody put it on the caption. It says, he says, funny how that question was worded by using the word all white folks. Hell, I don't even like all black folks. LOL. See when in the light of that, this is actually his quote. This is a Malcolm X quote. He said, see when in the light of the enemy they'll try to trip you up, but I'm one of those that will tell you to your face, if you hate me, I hate you more. Stay out of my way. But I respect Malcolm's answer. Just know if you happen to hate me, I'm gonna bring more hatred your way. Ain't no turning the other cheek on the other side. Wait, that part was the guy who wrote the caption, but the other part was Malcolm X quote.
Yeah, and some people, you know, so I've heard that whole turn the other cheek uh phrase a different way because it's like every time you swing at somebody, your cheek is turning. So every time you slap somebody, your body swings one way, your cheek is turned, and then you come back and hit them again the other side, your cheek is turned again. So
It's ready for another. It's ready for another slap.
you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, shoot, look, he you can keep on slapping, or shit, maybe you might get slapped in the midst of it, but you know, every blow every time you swing at somebody, your cheek is turning. So, you know, they try to change that verse to some extent, or at least how people might look at it, because if you really think about it, every time like every time you swing with your right, shit, your cheek is turning from
Deuce,
side
are you driving right
to side.
now?
No, I'm here at the plant.
All right,
Here.
check this out. What I got on the screen, because this picture right here is a trip. This is Oakland, California. Well, I'm gonna play the music. It's obviously somebody driving and filming, and it looks like
Oh,
a
the
skid
homeless
row.
neighborhood.
Yeah, well, all the way down the street, like it's like, look at this.
I haven't been out in California so long, but man,
And
that's.
the caption says, "Remind me how many billions has Biden given to Ukraine in the past year?"
I mean, shit. I mean, bro. I mean, look, and that's just recently, because I mean, we can talk about each and every president, because I mean, like, how much money have we given to Israel to destroy the people that has been living there for thousands of years already, at least hundreds of years already. I mean, we know that they were there before 1948 or 49, 1950 when these new people that just came in there that's going to call themselves Israel now. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is clearly a part of history, but let's just say from 1950, how many billions of dollars they spent in other places to harm other people that could have been used at home and to do something better. Or if it's going to be, like any monies that we're spending because we're the moral high road, or the like what we consider we should, like the rest of the world should be like us, then we shouldn't be making, giving our money to things that's going to destroy the world.
Yeah, man. I think that thing, what you just mentioned, Palestine, that's like one of the biggest things that's going on in the world. And like, as a global community, we should
Nobody
come
talks about it
together.
no more.
Yes,
Nobody really
but you can
talks about it no
see,
more.
why right now they got freaking Kanye West basically canceled. He got to move his money out of his bank. That's
You
why we
saw
don't
that,
talk
huh?
about it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you see that.
that's
But where
why
does
they
he
don't
go?
talk about it. They
Where does he
scared.
bank now? Where does
I'm
he bank
telling you,
now?
Chase is. That's what I was saying when I was making the comments. I'm sure he'll be fine, but
I
Chase
mean,
is
he might have to
huge
go. He might have to go overseas, and then when that happens,
because
then they can kind of control. Like what do they do to these countries when they stop them from being able to um uh,
yeah, uh,
but
I get what you're
either
saying.
way,
But
yeah.
Chase is the bank right now in the United States. Like, for you to be able to move your money around as freely as
Well,
possible, like Chase is
well,
the one.
see, the thing about that is what a lot of people don't realize is that I mean, there's really one bank. They have uh you know they have different names on different banks, but when you really follow the money, I mean, most of that money, most of it is, I mean, you know, or either let's just say like people who run Chase is on the board of pretty much every other bank that exists.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's something like that going on. And so, but I don't think it's right for them to do that to Kanye just because of something he said. And then, like I said, that's how we got on this subject. Is that's the reason why the global community knows that it's a freaking atrocities happening in Palestine. But everybody's scared to say anything.
And that's the kind of control. But nobody wants to see the Democrats as being fascist. But I mean, because I mean, you can't, like on the surface, you don't want to really say, okay, this bank is Democrat, but because of you know who's fighting who, we kind of, when we pick those sides, who, because Kanye is clearly on more of the conservative side. Because even if we take it away from Democrat, Republican, all right, we got conservative views and we got liberal views, and by them going up against each other, and let's just say since because Kanye is holding more of a conservative stance, Chase would have to fall into the liberal side. Um, you know, but either way, we're just saying like the them exerting the type of power that they are, okay, well, we're not gonna do business, we're not gonna transfer your money for you to, I don't know, like, I mean, I don't really, I guess we'll see soon how this can hurt him,
Yeah,
but
I don't see it really hurting them. It'll just
yeah.
have some limitations here and there, but no. Check this clip out right here. Back to the outrage culture topic.
Look at my student who thinks it's cute being bad. I just wonder how long it's going to take for them to land in jail. Several other questionable posts were found on Facebook. Prince George's County Education Committee Chair Jolene Ivey used the words homophobic. some of the tweet that landed her in that hot water here. It was posted to Twitter last Thursday under the account @mostly_hated. It says, Black women raising boys, please stop letting your sons pick up your female traits. I have an expletive boys in my class. I know you'll have some men around somewhere. This expletive is getting ridiculous. Now, this comment got some quick reactions when I showed it to some parents in person today.
It's not with that type of behavior.
Honestly, with a lot of the way teachers are, a lot of them do teach like they just don't say it.
She could have said, like, put them in meal mentoring programs, things like that. But for her to just come off and say something like that, it's just atrocious.
Atrocious?
Now, online, a number of comments were defending Robinson, some essentially arguing she's a victim of cancel culture. Those upset with the substitute also flagged other questionable posts. Now, we can't see those posts for ourselves. Her account was listed as private this morning, but different messages screen grabbed by others appear to say kids need to get bullied. It goes on to say the no bullying thing is dumb. Another says these fifth graders never had a teacher from the hood I see. I will gather a child quickly and respectfully and still bring them to tears. A third appears to read, so when I look at my student who thinks it's cute being bad, I just wonder how long it's going to take for them to land in jail. Several other questionable posts were found on Facebook. Prince George's County Education Committee Chair Jolene Ivey used the words home.
I think that she handled them teachers. She said, Black women raising boys, please stop letting your sons pick up your female traits. I have the bitchiest boys in my class. I know y'all have some men around somewhere. This shit is getting ridiculous. That's the comment that got her in trouble.
But
she was
see,
a teacher.
to me, like speaking the truth is offensive now, because like and with it being social media and it's like okay, it's being broadcast and everybody can see it, but bro, like
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That the parents and oh, I'm so outraged. Oh my God, she should be
because
fired.
nobody wants to do the job anymore. Like I'm hearing kids say like like I don't like girls. Like okay, what do you, I don't understand. Girls don't like boys. I mean, you're at the age, like different ages, don't, it's you don't understand. But before you can understand, you're gonna make a judgment like, like you don't want nothing to do with them. Like really?
I think these kids need. This sounds like a teacher that actually gives a fuck. And then it's like, how can you have any teachers that give a fuck when you're stressing them out? You got you canceling them. You're not paying them worth of shit. You know overworking them, giving them huge classes with these terrible kids and terrible
and
parents.
this is the person who's really seeing seeing these kids
Like,
more
this
than
person
anybody
knows.
else.
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, clearly saying, look, there's a problem. Okay, you might think that this shit is cute, but where this could lead to is, because maybe she could have worded it differently, and it, not, be taken quite as offensively. But I mean, just saying, oh, well, let's see how long it takes you to get in jail, be put in jail. Well, yeah, I mean, when you start doing, you think doing bad stuff is cool, and you keep doing that shit, all right, we're gonna see.
Because that's what's gonna happen. So why come you gonna cancel this lady and be outraged and being all mad when she clearly, for me it sounds like she cares. And these kids probably need to hear this, and some of the parents do too. Like
shit, the parents more than the kids, because the parents really need to be, giving examples of where they care. Like, I mean, they're almost like because they rather not spend the time with their children and teach them the things that they need to understand going into this crazy world that we're going into, that we've been devolving into. Like, they need as much guidance as possible. It's like how to deal with certain situations. Like, so like me and my son, like we have conversations that some people probably would think is weird, but like when they don't understand what the hell they see, and they're just expected to just go into the world and just, hey, go out and,
And you know what I think about? I think about those movies. I can't think of a name of one. Like, I don't know, Lean on Me or Coach Carter or whatever, where it's like this hard teacher that comes in and they seem like they're being all mean to the kids and shit, and it turns out that that's what the hell they needed, like to freaking somebody that really gave a fuck and came in there and was
Somebody
all
that
mean.
loves them. Yeah, somebody who's actually going to call them on their bullshit, because that's what people who love you do. It's like, you know what I'm saying? They don't allow you to just keep fucking up and, put yourself in a position that there's no return from. You know what I'm saying? Because the saying has been forever. Trouble easy to get into and hard to get out of. So, if you're not careful about the actions you make, like, before you know it, instead of your parents whooping your ass, you got two grown men that with badges on and
And when
billy
you're a
clubs
teenager,
whooping your ass.
you don't realize the severity of like the moment as far as like how much the direction in your life is going as a result of the decisions that you're making now. When you're in adolescence, when you're in like when you're in your teenage years, and
Yeah.
and then you got somebody that's trying to tell you, bruh, hey, I'm just trying to look out for you, man. Like, that shit you're doing is foul. Do better. You're
Yes.
better than that.
Have expectations for your children. Like, you have to have look, and like, you have to demand, this is what look, this is what I see in you. I believe that you can do this and this. You're good enough, your capabilities are up here. You're performing down here. I need to see you get up here where you should be. Like, you can't just allow them to just wander in the world and think that they're just going to stumble into success. It's not going to happen. The more guidance that you get from your directly from mom and dad, the reinforcement from uncles and cousins and grandma and this, that, and the other, of what's expected of you, makes you a better person.
Man, if this shit was a tweet, let me read this. It says, "Be careful what you tweet if you care to keep your job. A Maryland substitute teacher from District Heights Elementary School in Maryland is learning the hard way after being removed from her classroom, as several of her tweets had gone viral on Twitter, where she tells women to please stop letting your sons pick up your female traits and that children need to get bullied. According to Fox DC, the woman's name is, I'm not going to say her name, who goes by the handle, I'm not going to say that. Most of the tweets that attracted the wide amount of attention were those that she posted on a social media platform last week, having also tweeted the third day of school and I made another kid cry. These fifth graders never had a teacher from the hood I see. I won't be spoken to any kind of way. I will gather a child quickly and respectfully and still bring them to tears."
Yeah, I do think that there's like, I mean, you do have to have some tact. And I understand, you get passionate about certain stuff and you just kind of just saying what you're saying, but we do need to be remembered that everything that we're putting online can be brought up against you in the in court.
Yeah.
Like, it can be used against you in the whether it's in the judgment of the
Public
people,
opinion.
the public opinion, or actually in court.
Yep. Because they can prove that it was you. So it says George County's public schools has since confirmed to Fox 5 that Robinson has been removed from the classroom, but they didn't specify whether this meant she was still working with the institute or whether she had been officially fired. Needless to say, though, the county public schools have acknowledged the controversial tweets in question, with Robinson having since turned her Twitter account private amid the hefty backlash on social media. So I think that You know, I think maybe some of the stuff maybe was too much, you know, that she did or whatever. But I think the message is your Twitter should be on private, especially if you're tweeting stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, I don't like. I think that her messaging is right. It's just that maybe she could have chosen different words to use that would have, for the crybabies out there to be able to accept it better.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we started the show off talking about how sensitive people are. So
right. That's the reason why I covered this one, because that's what I think this is. It's just again, an outrage culture. This teacher just got canceled. You know, she may have been a good teacher. Who knows?
but it was a common thing. Like, I mean, when I was a kid, like, my teacher could tell me I was fucking up straight to my face, and then be like, and I'm gonna tell your mama, like, and shit, I'm scared as hell. Like, oh no, nah, please, like, all right, look, I'm gonna do better. You don't tell my mama. But now it's like, ooh, what I'm saying. Like nowadays, it's kind of like telling the parent is more against the teacher. Somebody who's you know what I'm saying, two adults that's supposed to be on the same page. And I guess in a lot of cases it is, because I mean, we don't see the majority of teachers really stepping out and saying like, hey, we need more parent involvement so that blah blah blah, because like maybe some of the teachers, because like they not seeing the money that they are, like, for a lot of, some teachers, that the money is, a big deal, because I mean, shit, there's some single teachers out there that need more money in the house. But I mean, there's some teachers out there that don't need the money. They just do it because that's what they love, they want to do, and whatever, blah, blah, blah. Got a husband that'll take, kind of, takes care of really everything. So it's not, that doesn't really affect, their attitude, because they're unhappy because they're not living the way they want to. So, I mean, and I'm throwing different little things out there because I think in pieces it kind of matters. But overall, I really believe that us as people, like we've become too politically correct to where we don't really address the elephant in the room enough. And when people do that now, it's a shock. It's really insane, because I mean, if we're trying to be better people as we grow older, as we add on to the generations that's come before us, like we're really like not doing any justice.
We coddled the whole damn generation. A lot of people be talking about the thing where nobody gets a trophy, or everybody gets a trophy, like nobody loses the soccer match or whatever the hell. And like these kids done grown up now. These kids are adults now. That's been going on for a minute. So that's a whole freaking generation of people who are like, I don't know, they just not ready for any kind of adversity. They can't deal with trauma, or like problem solving. They have a problem with dealing with, I don't know, I can't even think of it right now, the right words.
Well, they even talked about like our generation, I guess we're kind of like on the verge of each other's generation, like, but however, like they felt like the generation before us talked about how weak we was. So I mean, and I know that, like,
that's a good point.
I get away, get away with a lot. I got away with a lot of stuff as a kid. So I mean, I can relate to,
man. And I think I ain't gonna lie, because I'm thinking about my childhood, and I think it's true, because they used to say the same thing about me. And I think it's true. So maybe it's just that we're getting softer and softer and softer each damn generation.
Yes, because I mean like we're taking on this stance that, well, I don't want to, like put my kid through the same thing that I did, but the things that made me who I am is because of things that I was put through. Like, shit, me, getting out there riding my bike and fucking trying to jump, we're creating, ramps, getting on my bike and me busting my ass taught me a lesson.
Yep,
You know
I
what I'm
used to
saying?
do that same thing. These kids don't though. They don't never bust their ass, They don't never go through them scratches and scrapes and stuff. Like they don't go outside really. Like they don't even like
And I mean, it's our fault. We gotta take, we can't keep blame. When they get in trouble, blame them from doing what they're doing, but then we're coddling to some extent too much. Because but I think it's also has something to do with government, because like for some people, the fear of them having to go to jail for reprimanding your child, giving them firm punishment, whether because sometimes non-capital, like non-ass whoopings work, but sometimes that's exactly what's the tallest order. You need to put your hands on them to some extent. Not nothing that's like truly abusive, but like just to let them know that there is consequences to your actions. You know what I'm saying? Everybody ain't gonna just talk to you. The police got the right to put their hands on you.
And then
You know,
you got Tebow and Tyrone and Sarah and Susie that might just decide to put their hands on you. And
you know what I'm saying?
it ain't gonna be nobody to come save you. You're gonna have to deal with that situation. I kind of want to change the subject. The elephant in the room to me right now for everybody is the price of food, man. Like, and we talk. I ain't gonna lie, bro. This is the realest shit. I went to HEB earlier today, and I didn't grab that much stuff, and it was $140. I was like, God damn! Like, what did I put in that basket?
Yeah, you do. Like real life decisions is made in the grocery store and at the gas pump. You know what I'm saying? Like you contemplate a lot of serious act, like what am I going to do in those two places, and you just kind of like like I ain't gonna lie, I spend a lot of time in the grocery store already, but like I self-analyze. All right, how much do I really need this? Do I, what I'm saying, am I, am I gonna eat this more than one time? Like if it's, like if there's leftover, like what I'm saying, like you debating with yourself, or really you debating with the grocery store in your head as you walk down the different aisles, because it's like everything is debatable. Like
And I think that what's killing me about this is they're totally just fucking everybody because they don't even have to have them prices like that. It's such a. Anyways, let me read this caption right here. I'm gonna move on to this because I got a video on this. I think this caption, it says, "Holy hell! Kroger is planning to merge with Albertsons. If it succeeds, Kroger will have control over Ralph's, Smith's, Harris Teeter, Dillon's, Fred Meyer, Vaughn's, Safeway, Jules Osco, Shaw's. If you're wondering why grocery prices are so high, look at the source, oligarch control." Right quick, I want to read a couple comments. It says, "To all the people saying I don't recognize any of these, realize that corporations just name the same stores different things in different areas to give the illusion of choice under a free market," quote unquote. And one other comment right here, it says, "Kroger took over our local Fred Meyer's, and the stores immediately went from a pleasant place to shop with fair prices, well-stocked quality goods, and high wages with an inviting atmosphere to a rundown, overpriced store with miserable employees." and that's what they do.
Have you been to a Whole Foods lately?
I haven't been lately because the prices of everything is so fucking crazy. The only time I went to Whole Foods anyways is when I wanted to splurge.
You know who owns Whole Foods now?
Who? Walmart.
Amazon.
Amazon. Yeah, that's what it is. Amazon. I know one of them big, huge.
Conglomerates.
It's conglomerates, and that's why they have a monopoly, and they could totally just set the prices on our ass, and that's exactly what they're doing,
bro. Bro, and I mean they're making it tougher and tougher because I mean the people who, because I mean I know like it's one of those battles that's hard to fight, but like we really have to start like putting monies together so that we can, you know, like produce like a farm or farms plural, like, you know, farms, our own, like having grocery stores, our own supply chains within our own districts, or you know what I'm saying, like we have, like, bro, if we allow, because I mean we have to take an assertive effort like to do this, because if we don't, and we don't change the dynamics quick, like there's no turning back. Like there's gonna become like a point where there's no turning back. Um, there'll be very few communities that will have their own shit, and you know everybody's gonna be dependent on. I mean, we can call it the government, but because I mean the corporations run the government. So I mean these corporations will run everything.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be like the Star Wars, man. That's what it's gonna be like. Freaking, I can't find the fucking video I'm looking for. But I have this right here. I think the beginning of it says something good. Let me see. Can't remember. I think it was the dudes were annoying. I remember that. This dude is a douche right here. Fuck.
Yeah,
But I think
I do want to say this. I mean, because there's a lot of Christians that believe in this system that it's going to eventually work out or whatever. Because you know, but like, not telling you to change your religion or your belief system or anything like that. But you might want to pay a little attention to what the Nation of Islam is doing.
Let me play this.
Some of these, yeah.
Okay. Am I sharing? Oh, I'm not sharing.
Okay, because I was waiting. I thought.
My bad. I already had pressed it.
I thought that list was gonna start, you know, something, but I didn't know what to.
My bad.
My bad.
Here we go.
This week, new hotter than expected inflation data came out, which produced expectations that the Federal Reserve is going to continue ratcheting up its interest rates. There's been a kind of paradoxical response from the stock market in the last couple of days. The stock market is shaping up rather than crashing, as some people expected that it might. We're going to be joined now by Matt Stoller and Dave Dayen, two friends of the show, who we're going to talk about the relationship between the Federal Reserve, policymaking, employment, unemployment, and started here by a tweet of mine that got Matt mad, which then led to this segment. So the housing market will crash, but with interest rates like this, only cash buyers will be able to capitalize more upward distribution of wealth facilitated by the Fed. This was in response to somebody posting a chart showing that the average 30-year fixed mortgage rate had climbed to 7.14%. So Matt and other people point.
So yeah, this is kind of beside the point, but it still goes to what you were saying earlier when we was talking about the assets and shit like that, and the banks. So them basically buying up everything. I wanted to go into the other thing about like explaining them being fixing the damn prices, but I can't find the fucking video. But
well, that's one of the things that stands out with me here, even even before he really got into this conversation, with his point is like the first thought to me is, okay, is this by happenstance or is it manufactured? Like the whole idea, like, I mean, there's so many different things that we, look into, them, bringing, because for me, like, yeah, food is a big deal, but even more so, me being able to buy more food or less food, it's determined a lot of times by the fuel that I have to use in my truck. So that's why you hear me talk about that, because that makes a big difference on both, either way. So I mean, yes, the food is expensive, but when we really look at the whole thing, like by them reducing the production, they know that triggers the supply, the demand
Right.
for the supply.
So, and that's one of the things that they're doing to be able to control these prices in a way. Because what I wanted to look at, I saw some numbers where they showed how much they're making, bro. The damn grocery stores are making the killing. They've been making the killing since Corona, bro. And it's like Corona's over and they still making the killing. What the hell is going on? They were saying that, remember they were saying that the supply lines were all messed up because it was related to Corona, and then you had all the ships hanging off of the coast and all of that shit.
Look, and I've been telling people that for the longest, is that, like, bro, like there was no reason other than the potential for, like, maybe tariffs that I didn't know about. There was no other reason for these things not to be docking in our ports and it being distributed to the people. Like there was there was plenty of trucks going around, and then they knew that the more that they had available, the more that they would need to have to get it going, and they would have to pay. Like that's like it's all around the board. Like they don't want to pay for transportation. Like they got trucking companies fighting each other just to be able to get loads. So now they're like bidding wars, and it's not going up, it's going down. It's like, they said that they'll take, there's gonna be $2.50. I'll do it for $2. Oh shit, $2? Shit, I'll do it for $1.75. I'm like, bro, like how is anybody gonna, like, it's creating a fight amongst, each other. Those who, who's fighting to keep their businesses alive, so they and I think that it's a formula. I don't think that this is some new tactic or just something that just we ran into. This is something that they devised a plan,
and they took advantage. They had a perfect opportunity, and they took advantage of it.
I feel like that opportunity was created too. So I mean, that's me. I mean, but however,
either way,
yeah,
the result is the same.
Exactly.
And I can't find it, but freaking, we already know. We just looked at it, how it's so few companies already. So already, even if it's illegal or they say they don't do it or whatever, is it a stretch of the imagination to think that these people sitting behind closed doors and having meetings about what the price, like how much can we charge these people and get away with it?
Well, the stock market has bids on that all the time. Like that's that day-to-day, like day trading, and like, look, we can look, we can bring the price up. Like they're gonna spend it. Like what else they gonna do? You know what I'm saying? There might be some stuff that people might kind of like, I don't know about this. Like, you know what? I'm gonna just go on and, I'm gonna get some.
And it's all about the money because they're so separated. So if you think about Wall Street and the guy in the room with the numbers and the phones or whatever the hell they're doing there.
But the thing about it is something that speaks about us more than we realize is statistics. When they it comes down to numbers for them.
Right. So that's what I mean. They're just completely detached or separated from like the reality on the ground. So it's like you know, if somebody came in the room and told them, well, this means that so many people are going to starve and some of them are going to die or whatever, like they're like, whoa, maybe I won't do this or whatever. But no, they're looking at the data. It's like, okay, they're going to make this much money this quarter. They're going to make this much
it's
money
like,
this quarter.
and that's the thing. It's like we don't have to produce as much and still make way more than what we were making. Like, and like it's for the greedy, for the greed. It's not a win-win. I mean, I guess for them, yes.
For them.
I guess you could say, yeah. But for really between them and us, I mean, it's a win for them, a loss for us. But like they don't have to produce as much. They don't have to, have as many trucks moving, or the supply chain can be cut down by a third.
They can lay off some employees.
All around the board. Like it's like they're winning. Like they're still making the same money. And see, but you can't tell people that because it's too conspiratorial. Like it's like they don't like it. Oh well, that's a conspiracy theory. Like bro, like I honestly, like, sometimes I really don't see how people don't see it, or like they spend too much time to trying not to believe it because it makes them feel they have to do something and they don't want to do shit. That's my belief on most people in this whole thing, that they deny all these things that's really happening, right? Like they're getting slapped with it day by day by day by day, and they still like no, it's no, but such and such, like they got excuses for every damn thing, and it don't make sense.
Let me play this because I found something. It looks interesting. The title looks interesting. This might play what I'm trying to. Because I know I saw some shit. This is not it, but let me play this.
It's time for business news with Richard Southern. And with our grocery bills climbing higher and higher each month, pressure is mounting on the Canadian government to take action, Richard.
Sure is. Hi, Erica. There are calls now for a parliamentary probe into those sky-high prices at our local grocery store. The federal NDP today says it wants to see the government look into these rising prices to find out if the major grocery chains are taking advantage of the inflation situation and are gouging customers. That's what the NDP wants to know. Are the grocery chains raking in excess profits? Now, the cost of groceries is up almost 11% on a whole this year from last, according to Stats Canada. But many individual staples like meat and cooking oil and coffee have surged more than that. Yet, Canada's big three grocery chains have all posted increased profits in their most recent financial reports. Now, Loblaws and Metro, they attribute that to a rise in pharmaceutical sales, but the NDP say they still want the matter looked into. Erica, it's not clear if the government will support the calls for the probe, though I'm sure many Canadians would be interested to see the matter looked into.
Okay, the cost of groceries and other items is expected to rise even higher in the coming weeks. And that's all tied to the slumping loonie, Richard.
Guess where the loonie's been going, Erica? It's been taking a nosedive the past few days. It's down now.
Anyways, it's amazing that it's even Canada. So
it's not really that amazing.
Yeah,
they're more under the control of the government than we are.
Yeah, so whenever I watch Canadian news, I'm always thinking it's just United States kind of. Anyways, the name of this, it says, should grocery store profits be investigated? It's a business report. So the thing is, I saw the numbers somewhere where they showed the profit margins of these major grocery store retailers, and it's crazy how much money they're making. So it way over last year and over the year before, like crazy amounts of money. So this is profit margin. This is the amount that they're making in profit. So when they're saying that their prices are going up because they have to pay more for what they're paying, then why are you making so much more money? What's going on? What's happening?
I mean, it's a no-brainer for me, but they're not paying any more for them to like, because I mean, they're probably paying less because like they're taking over more farms. The manufacturing, in most cases, have a lot of control over, and then when they get it to the store, like I mean, they're paying hardly nothing for for all these different products, and then they're selling it to us. I don't know what the percentage is, but it's probably 200 to 300% over. At the least, it could be more than that. 200 to 300% over what they're paying. So that's where they're that's why they can make the profits they're making.
Let me read
So
some comments underneath the video. These are Canadians, but it's pretty interesting because, like I say, it's the same. It says, absolutely yes, the average family is paying over $1,000 more for groceries this year, while profits keep rising for grocery stores. It says, why in Canada cheap, low quality stuff is moderately priced, base quality, decent stuff is expensive, and good quality stuff is highway robbery. It says the government must be investigated as well for bad economic conditions they have created. Another comment, while you're checking on the grocery stores, check into how they can have employees guarding the food in every aisle, but the checkouts are still always unmanned.
yeah, but
Yeah,
no, not just that, but no, shit. You gotta look. You gotta fucking check yourself out, bag yourself, and
yeah,
all
that's what
this
he
other
said.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And then you
yeah,
got a security guards. It seems like the security is way more intense now at grocery stores. Dudes with
yes.
guns and cars and handcuffs and shit is
There's security inside the store and police outside of some of the, directly right outside. You know what I'm saying? So
they
you know,
riding around on those damn people movers and shit and looking at you and shit, and you're like, damn, that
people
fuck,
movers. What is a people mover?
the fucking whatever big ass scooter, the one you stand up on, like fucking
Oh,
whatever.
okay. I know what you're talking about, like a mall cop.
Yeah.
What's it, the
Yeah,
segways or
man.
whatever.
I'm at the little HEB. It's not even that big, and this dude is in the parking lot driving around in that thing and looking at everybody like it's kind of scary. He's got a gun and everything.
Yeah. Shit. I was at the truck stop in Houston the other last weekend, and shit, the security in there got pistols. I mean, there was some cute little chicks in there. They packing pistols, but I'm just
You
like,
must have been
man,
at the
this is
Loves on. You must have been at the Loves on the north side over there.
no, I was at I was on McCarty at the pilot.
That's the north side. You was at the
No,
pilot out of Loves. That's North Houston, baby. That's northeast side.
no, that's okay. Well, that's
That,
east. I look at that as
that's
a total
northeast.
east.
Yeah,
Well,
All
I
right.
ain't.
but it don't
Well, it
matter.
could be east. It is considered east side, right in that little
All
area.
of
Yeah.
the
But yeah,
all of the grocery stores are becoming more ma- damn, I can't talk.
Meticulous.
Militarized.
Oh,
militant.
Mill.
Yeah, but
Okay. Okay.
I can understand that. I can understand them truck stops on McCarty, bro, because it's been truck drivers that's then been followed into the store and out of the store and robbed. You know what I'm saying? Like literally over there in that area. You know what I'm saying? Because that's
Shit,
prostitute,
people are
crackhead
hungry. But look at
neighborhood.
the government. Look at the situation. So look at what's happening. It's like totalitarianism. It's like some damn dystopian ass movie that we seen. You go to the grocery
Y'all,
store and you got
y'all remember who's at the head of this? Like that's the point. Like like I said. I mean, I do point that finger. Who's who what and what they're self-proclaimed to be this a part of this party. So this is where we're mostly seeing this out of. Like there's a lot of people that's like really tripping, but I do blame the government at the height of this because when they see this going on, we're the ones that's subsidizing a lot of these companies, because I mean subsidies used to be for companies that you know, okay, they're doing right by the people. They're, you know, and you know, it would, you know, if they get the help from the government to be able to provide, you know, good pay and all these different things for companies. But now you get subsidized for screwing your the people.
Right. You know, you're absolutely right. It comes from a good place. The idea of it is good. It's just that the way it's used is not. And it's Walmart who's getting it, and it's Amazon who's getting it, and they're getting all this freaking money. At the meanwhile, their employees are suffering, and it's like that's the whole system. So they conglomerize everything, they corporatize everything, they make it so where it's, you know, they could
And look,
do it the cheapest way possible. Like we're talking about going to the grocery store and checking our own stuff out while a security guard is fucking watching us. And then we go outside to our car, and it's like I'm thinking about like, shit, I better not fucking steal from here. Shit, I might fuck around and get shot on my way to the car or some shit.
yeah,
Like what kind of fucking
it's
world?
it's no longer okay. Well, you know, if I'm gonna get locked up, so it's like right here in the damn parking lot, I might get shot. But one of the other things I want to add on to that is that you know, these Uber and Lyft drivers that work for these companies, like in order for them to, you know, be able to make extra money, the gig workers are being penalized because that's what they call that stuff. You know, the gig drivers is like they're specifically being picked on, that they're able
I
excuse me,
sent
able
y'all
to,
a video about that. Did y'all see that? I sent a video
I didn't get to
about
see the video, but I did see it come in. I mean, I understand that conversation in and out, whether I, you know, I saw it or
they're
not. But
well, they're gonna. It's possible that a federal law will come out and force those companies to make those people actual employees.
employees, instead of them being able to, like, I don't understand, you know, because because see, they really just want control of being, you know, somebody who that they can force to, you know, to take the money, like tax money directly from the people. Because I mean, some of these people, you know, understanding the laws more, when I mean, you know, you realize that, you know, taxing isn't really a law, and if you know, there's other ways around, you know, even if we saw it as a law, you know, there's other ways around not having to pay. And that's one of the things that they don't want to give the power to the average person to be able to decide how and what they're going to pay, or to be able to say, you know, because if you're working this job and somebody's taking taxes before you can get your own money, then that changes the dynamics for this country, and you know, the money that they're able to pocket.
Yeah, yeah. So, but you know, this thing would affect. I think it's a good idea, actually. You know,
To what?
but who knows how? Whenever they implement shit, who knows how it's gonna
You
freaking turn out?
what you think it's good that these people become employees?
Yes, because these companies have been taking advantage of these people in multiple ways. It's really been a scam. Uber don't even make money. So basically, like what I'm saying is it's a scam on the people, telling them, hey, you're an independent contractor, so you can work your own hours, da 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 da. So it just means that I don't have to make sure that you get insurance. I don't have to make sure that you have like any kind of work life balance. I don't have to make sure that you average out to at least minimum wage when you work. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to worry about none of that shit. That's all on you. I also don't even have to pay for gas, wear and tear on your car. I'm not paying for shit. I'm not even paying you. You getting paid by these people who are riding in the car.
But ain't that kind of like
I see news.
the yellow cab system that we had here in Houston?
That's been around forever.
That's
No,
been
this is
that's really the same thing, because you're a if you go work for a taxi cab company, you're not paid on a W-2 with insurance and all. You're a contractor. You're leasing that cab from that taxi company,
Hmm.
and you're paying essentially you're paying a car note, plus you're paying for the maintenance. Now they may have where you can set up a maintenance fund that so much comes out of your money each week or whatever that goes towards the repairs on that car. But essentially, you're as a taxi driver, that's why they so aggressive, because that's how they make their money, by getting you in the car and you paying fare.
Yeah.
They done basically killed the yellow cab and
Bro, I see people
Liberty
with cab.
cab.
No, there's a lot of cab drivers have started doing Uber too.
Yeah,
Like
because
that's
they've killed the cab industry.
And then
They've murked it.
with Uber, now you can lease a car, man. To be honest with you, bro, with Uber, it depends on the city. It depends on the city you're in and the dynamic, because I remember when I still had my own truck. My truck, man, I had some issues going on with my after treatment system, and I had to leave it in Joliet, Illinois, at the dealership, and I flew home. And the Uber driver, you know what I'm saying, that picked me up from the dealership, took me to the airport or whatever, and he was like, "Hey man, you coming back?" I was like, "Yeah." So he gave me his number. He's like, "Hey, just hit me up and go through the app. I'll be back up here." And I got to talking to him and asking him. And this dude works part-time at Midway Airport. That's where he gets his insurance at, but he makes his bread and butter doing Uber. And like he was like, "Bro, Uber." He's like, "I'm leasing the car through Uber. After they take the car payment and the maintenance money." And I said, he's like, "Bro, I'm bringing in like $3,500 a week, like every week." He was like, "Dude, Chicago is so busy with all of the travel here."
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Well, see,
saying?
I was talking to a guy that was one of my Ubers when I was in Houston again. This is another time I was in Houston. I got Uber. The guy, he was renting, but he was renting from Enterprise. He was, I think that's who Uber does the renting through, is through Enterprise. And he had what you call it, a Tesla. So, the fuel is limited. Like, you're not really paying fuel. I mean, you do have to pay for your charging, and it's just like it was a decent setup. So I mean, Houston is a large city. Like, there's Uber all day, like 24 hours a day in Houston. Some
Yeah,
cities, Houston, Chicago.
but the argument is these people deserve to have some kind of insurance. They deserve to have some kind of work-life balance. They deserve to have.
You could, they can have insurance. You just have to go and purchase it through the healthcare market. I mean, essentially what you're saying is the same thing that California just did to people that are lease contractors leasing an 18-wheeler from a
Yeah,
company. When I
because I
bought
don't.
my truck through a company, like, it was up to me to plan out my schedule. That's what a business owner do. You plan your work-life balance. You create, you have to make the money to set aside to be able to afford your health care, your insurance. You set up your own
It's called being an
retirement.
adult.
Yeah, you have to do that. So essentially what you're saying would be basically making them employees, and now they're no longer able to be contractors and making,
Minimum
the money.
wage, like they are, or less than what, they got to be, like under the control of something bigger than them.
Yeah,
Like
because
The
just
that's
amount
think
they
about it.
make
If they
might
if
be
they
an
become,
issue.
because yeah,
But
if they
if
become
it's
an
not
employee,
beneficial,
they ain't gonna
it
make shit as no employee, as no
for,
Uber
at
driver.
all, at all. Because, but I'm gonna tell you the whole, because I think that them being contractors, like, I mean, maybe there's some things that should be worked out on, what percentages they make and this, that, and the other, what their rights to it, certain
But
percentages are.
this
But
this this might go through, man, and they're saying that it may affect even truck drivers, the ones that call themselves independent contractors.
well, and I
Um,
think I think that's going to depend on what state you're in, because it's going to still come down
well,
to states' rights.
if it's federal, it's federal. This guy here though, he's arguing against the point. He's saying it's not a good idea.
It's
Um,
not. It's not.
Let me play
Like,
some.
bro,
That I'm going to be
you're
sharing
taking.
with you guys today. about the gig economy jobs. I wish I wouldn't have to be talking about this. I've been advocating against this for the longest time, for years, on my main channel, Mushy Moo, and now on this channel, I've been advocating against this. But it just seems like it's finally come to that time that we're going to be classified as employees, and not just through some union and not just in a specific state, but everywhere. Millions of people. This is coming from CNN. The Biden administration has done it, and as much as we don't want it, the money for whoever's sending them the money to get this done just is more money than we could ever give them. So the Biden administration, let's go into it. The Biden administration is proposing a new labor rule that could classify millions of gig workers as employees, a move that would challenge the low-cost labor models behind Silicon Valley heavyweights such as Uber, Lyft, and DoorDash. Now, I'm assuming, right, it's not just going to be these three. Any app that you do that you are labeled an independent contractor is going to fall under this new labor rule. The proposed rule, announced by the Labor Department on Tuesday, aims to broaden the test that determines whether workers are entitled to protections such as minimum wage and overtime pay under federal law. Now, this is something that we don't get being independent contractors. As an independent contractor, you can choose whatever hours you want to work. If you want to work in the mornings or evenings or overnight, you can work however many hours you want to. Me personally, I do 35 to 40 hours a week. But under this new rule, I'm assuming that these companies, if you're one of the lucky ones to actually still have a job after this goes through, you are going to work under their schedule. So if you're scheduled to work from midnight to 8 a.m., well, that's the times you're going to work. And if you're scared of doing that, well, then you're fired. Let's keep going, man. Unfortunate. While independent contractors have an important role in our economy, we have seen in many cases that employers misclassify their employees as independent contractors, particularly among our nation's most vulnerable workers, said Secretary of Labor Marty Walsh in a statement Tuesday. Well, I'm assuming that Mr. or Mrs., I'm not sure, Marty Walsh has never delivered for DoorDash or never delivered for Uber Eats a day in his or her life, because the thing is, right, DoorDash has the opportunity, right? If you want to work under hourly pay, you most certainly absolutely can. They give you the option to do that. If you don't want to, there's also an option for that. But because of this Secretary of Labor, he or she knows much better than the person that's out working 70 hours a week. The new rule would affect workers in a wide range of industries like home care, trucking, delivery services, and hospitality, according to the Labor Department. But we all know that for the most part, this is going to be about, the gig driving jobs. Not so much. I mean, trucking, there are independent contractors for trucking, right? But at the end of the day, truck drivers are making up to 6 figures, whereas the average DoorDash or Uber Eats driver is making up to $6 per order, right? So it's a little different. And then last thing I want to mention is the shares of Uber and Lyft, whose drivers are considered independent contractors, fell nearly 10% on the news of the proposed rules. Right now, they're actually down about 8, maybe 8.5%, which is still a lot considering that Uber, the stock, has reached an all-time low. I know not many people are into the stock side of things, but the stock market plays an important role with these companies because investors invest in their stock, and that's how these companies continue to generate money. Now, one of the biggest things, right, that I haven't read, that the reason they really want to do this is because what does DoorDash and Uber and these companies, what do they always say that they are? That's right. They are non-profitable. And the thing is, when you're rich, it's easy to create a company that is non-profitable. I've actually been reading upon this. I've been looking into this, right? For when I become a millionaire and a billionaire, I want to.
Anyways, what do y'all think?
I'm against it, bro. Like, I think that, because see, that takes away from like what America is supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? Like that's one of those little threads that when you pull it, like there's way more things that come out than what you expected, and it just tears away at the baseline of what the ability for me to choose is going out of the window. Like things that like me being able to start, like you these are some of the easiest businesses that people can start for themselves, and those things are being stripped to some extent. So that's the part that, like, I don't really like how it's trying to, and I mean, I'm a truck driver, because I mean, to some extent, I am a business owner, but some people would, because of the agreement that I have with the company I'm with, could be potentially considered as an independent contractor. So and that's some of the lines that we try to you know divide in a lot of cases, because you know there's a lot of things that I use their fuel card, I use whatever, but that's it makes more sense to do that. But I think that for especially for these people that's Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, Uber Eats, all these different things that, it's really going to hurt them, because the whole idea was to be able to make them some extra cash. And because you have an LLC, or you create your own business identity, you're able to put yourself in a different tax bracket. You know what I'm saying? It helps with everything else that you're doing. And that's one of the things that they're robbing the people of, is their ability to do what they do.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many things you can write off once you get an LLC. Like, I mean, I would almost like tell people to get an LLC with their own name. You know what I'm saying? Like, and run, you are a business. When you go to a job, like operate as a business, and you have more benefits than you do as a, 10, 4, what is, what, I forget what, but as a W-2 worker.
Yeah. I got two more topics that I wanted to cover, but I don't think I'm going to be able to get to both of them. And I'm going to just save one for tomorrow, because I'm already getting tired. So I want to let you decide. It's either the one about it's the cops asked this guy for his damn ID, and they ended up taking him in jail and pounding his damn car. And he wasn't doing nothing. He was like, his car was broke down and shit. And the other one is about, and I absolutely have to cover this at some point, the possibility of U.S. military going to Haiti, because Haiti is a mess, and not that long ago they did like a blockade of like a fuel department, a fuel depot, and it's kind of shutting down the city because the people can't get over there to get fuel. And so, but it's a real mess, because Haiti doesn't want any other, especially the U.S. They don't want any foreign intervention. You know what I'm saying? They don't
They
want
shouldn't.
foreign troops. So they really have a problem with that. And I want to say they sent a ship. They're sending a ship, or they're about to send a ship, or they're sent a ship to Haiti already, right now, and to try to help with the situation. But really, it's probably going to be, who knows what it's going to be, because it's, the U.S. But it's not even directly the U.S. I think it's the UN or whatever, but it's the U.S. Anyways, they're gonna NATO. I think that's what they're calling it. Freaking the guy, the G9, the gangs, and the dude who call himself Barbecue. Most likely, what they'll do is go over there and assassinate that guy, and try to, I don't know,
Bro, the U.S. needs to stay out of, like, honestly, like, our quote unquote leadership, like, doesn't need to try to help anybody, because like, we're failing ourselves. Like, it's just like that, like, and I really believe, like, a lot of the things that's happening in Haiti is because of international I'm gonna say international insertions, like,
absolutely outside forces, and that's the reason why the Haitians are very sensitive to outside forces. They don't want nobody to come over there. It's like y'all already fucking did enough. We want to work this out on our own.
And they are a republic that has the right to handle their own shit themselves, and like they have their
Well, we've been
sovereignty.
covering a
So they need to like they do. You know, it might be some infighting, but this is where they'll have the ability to, you know, have talk to the people who, who's trying to, you know, I guess take have their own sides of power or whatever, like they have a better opportunity of correcting this stuff themselves than with anybody else jumping in and trying to handle this. Those people are not stupid. Like they know exactly what's going on. They know all the problems. They know the solutions. It's just a matter of getting those.
If people just stop meddling with them and let them just handle their shit. So the name of this, it says, so it begins. U.S. starts invasion of Haiti with military force. Redacted with Clayton Morris. The caption says the United States is moving forward with military missions in Haiti, and Canada is considering getting involved too. The Coast Guard has sent ships with machine guns, which signals some kind of special covert operation. Life in Haiti is in chaos, and increasingly so by the day. Protesters are calling for the resignation of Prime Minister Ariel Henry and are blocking imports of critical infrastructure such as gasoline imports. Banks and grocery stores are operating on limited schedules. What is the U.S. interest in this? We break it down with independent journalist Dan Cohen from Uncaptured Media.
Can you hear me? My headset died. Okay. I mean, their interest is what it's always been. Is control resources. Like there's so much money in Haiti that's been blocked for so long that once they get in there and they can have control of it, they can still keep those people from not growing, which, because if they were able to be involved in the international community with the resources that's there, bro, those people would be filthy rich. But that's the whole thing.
They got them working in sweatshops and shit still to this day. And, it was the most profitable fucking colony in history. Like, and I think to this day, it's still really profitable. Like you're saying, they're still making the loot out of there.
Bro, America is so unbelievable. Like, and I'm going like a lot of countries in South America, like, I mean, we have riches here in North America that we might, or we might think is only fuel and this and that, whatever. But I mean, we really talking about, Haiti, Puerto Rico, like, I mean, like Venezuela, like, I mean, a lot of those countries has resources that it's been sold, but it's not sold by their own people. Like, and if they able to sell it, they're truly getting exploited to the extent where they don't really get to see any benefit. And if and that's the same kind of point I was making, like with us last night. It's like, if we don't fix our own problem, we allow somebody else to come in. Like, we don't gain anything. We probably lose more. So that's why I say, like, these people need to have the opportunity to fix their own problem. It's only been, a couple of weeks since this thing has kind of, maybe going into 2 months, maybe, or whatever. But either way, like, shit, they can't solve a problem on the other side of the world. They got their interests over Ukraine and Russia, but they can't solve that. What makes them feel like they're gonna solve anything in Haiti?
Well, I have to say that it's been going on for a long time, longer than that, and because it's shit. It's been over a year. It's been about a year since the damn president was assassinated. The dude that's the damn prime minister now was affiliated with the damn assassination. He wasn't elected, It's
Okay,
man, it's a
you
mess.
well, you know what? I'm gonna say I've been hearing about this just recently, and when you really put it back together that way, because during the pandemic is when they lost their president that they loved, and I'm sure that there's forces in there that's kind of like people, I mean, it's natural for that kind of infighting to somewhat happen until they can truly put their you know everybody stops being emotional and go ahead and just say, all right, look, this is what we need as a country.
Right.
This
Well,
this
they
is
they didn't love that guy. I have to say that too. They didn't love that guy. They wanted him out of there. He had already overstayed his freaking time. But they didn't want nobody to come freaking assassinate their freaking prime minister, bro. Like it turned out to be some Colombian mercenary people and stuff. Like it's like that's again foreign people coming over here fucking with our shit. Like if we wanted to kill him, let us be the one who killed him. Not y'all can't be killing our damn. I'm laughing. It's not really funny, but let me play this.
well.
A very important story
think,
on the show, which is the.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I mean, the guy that was in power, the president, he was a problem for the international community. I think a lot of people in Haiti, really appreciated him. Maybe I'm sure, like any other country, there's going to be people who, see it differently. But overall, I think that he wasn't like a bad thing for the country. Like he helped them through the whole pandemic without like in his whole country, like maybe 100 people got sick and they all got better, like no deaths. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that's just
Without,
chalked up to the way that they, those people are over there is the reason why the pandemic missed them on that shit. But he that dude was he's the United States. He was planted. Anyways, let me play this. Let me play some of this.
Coming invasion, I'm calling it invasion, of Haiti by U.S. military forces. Then last night we saw some major movements in that regard. The United States Coast Guard sending one of its largest gunships to start patrolling off the coast of Haiti near Port-au-Prince. The United States has canceled visas as well. It looks like things are only getting worse. We're entering a heated situation right now. We want to bring in independent journalist Dan Cohen, who's been following the story from the very beginning. He's been doing some excellent journalism on this, and we'd like to welcome back to the show. Dan, thanks for coming back on the show.
Hey, thanks a lot for having me, Clayton.
Absolutely. So we were talking last night. It looks like things are starting to ratchet up. And these, of course, this is what you've been following and saying this was about to happen. It looks like last night things started happening. So what is the very latest?
Well, I think you're right to call it an invasion rather than the nice euphemism of military intervention, which sounds, so much more palatable. And right now, Brian Nichols, the top State Department official for the Western Hemisphere, and figures from the Pentagon, top Southcom commander, are in Haiti meeting with the interim Prime Minister, Ariel Henry, as well as figures from the opposition group that is very close to Washington called the Montana Accord. And they're basically figuring out how they can put down this protest movement. And their main concern is the blockade on the fuel terminal where Haiti gets 80% of its fuel. And that's blockaded by an armed group called the G9, led by Jimmy Barbecue Cherizier. This guy's the #1 target of the United States. And if there is any military invasion, intervention, call it what you will, this guy's the target. The G9 is the target. If you look at the readout from the State Department, they're careful not to say his name, but they say the blockade of the fuel terminal. And they've sent, as you said, a Coast Guard ship, which is under the auspices of the Department of Homeland Security. And, so it makes me wonder, how is Haiti part of the homeland of the United States? Where does the homeland start and end? I don't know exactly.
It extends very far. I mean, we had U.S. National Guard deployments from Wisconsin going to Africa last week. So, you know, there is no border to the United States, right?
the border to the United States. Where is the border to the United States?
Well,
I saw a map that tripped me out because you always see the United States the regular way from East Coast to West Coast with Canada up on the front and Mexico down south. But there's a map that shows the United States that includes Alaska and like the Philippines and freaking Puerto Rico and Guam and all of that, and it looks very different. And so like the border to the United States and Homeland Security, it really doesn't sound that strange, really, because Haiti is right off the coast, right? If the United States feels like all of that's the United States, I'm sure Cuba, Jamaica, freaking all of that, right?
bro, the United States looks at Ukraine and like as a part of the United States. Like, I mean, it's, you know, why they be sending so much effort over to that one country, over there. I mean, it's see, because that's the part that I think people don't realize is that, it's all bigger than that. Like, we can talk about the 50 United States here in the West, but everything that they've taken control over, they have military bases in. Like, they can at any time subdue them and take total control if it's that instead of having a proxy like for them to be able to control things from the outside like it's, I don't know how to really verbalize that part, but because they've had their hand in so many different things, running coups and putting people in place, like they really control way more countries than we know. The corporations, however you want to look at it.
Right, the tentacles. And so it's because it's an empire, really, and it has been, and that's what it is.
Yeah, it's still like the Roman Empire that's running from a satellite we call DC, and because I mean there's major parts of that empire that has been somewhat we've discussed it before. London City, DC, the Vatican, and Israel. That's the empire.
Yeah,
Those are the people that's included within the empire.
it's
And
the new Roman Empire. It's kind of like when they say the West, what they really mean is kind of like it's really like the American Empire, because even those European countries are all submissive, and you can see it with this Ukraine conflict, right? Because this whole thing doesn't even play to the interests of most of those European countries. Like, what the fuck? How they
it
gonna
doesn't.
suck America's ass, United States ass like that?
Well, and that's the problem, because I mean, like, I really feel like at some point Germany's gonna be like, screw this. So I don't give a damn what else. We about to get oil from Russia, and as much of it as we can get. You know what I'm saying? Like,
And I
and
and they and if they peel off, they won't be the only one, because people have
Poland.
to remember those countries be fighting forever. Like, they're not like, it's like they're relatives that hate each other. You know what I'm
But
saying?
but but why? But why do they hate each other? They have way more in common, and they have more of the same. Like, they have most of the same needs over in that part of the world as each other. But then I guess because of fake borders,
Yeah,
the
it's
alliances that individuals have
it's so
is what.
crazy. Because
Yeah,
when you think about it, how different is like I don't know, a Russian from, like, what is it, Slavic, or even Ukrainian, or like, how different are they from like other Europeans over there? Like, these people are like, these are the same people, bro.
those are all yes, they're the very same people, like the Slavics, the Yugoslavia, or like all these different, especially one, like all those that was a part of the Soviet Union.
they were one. Like they were the United States of that, of, I guess you could say, Asia or Europe, whatever you want to call that part of the world.
Asia
They,
probably would be the best. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what I'm saying. Like people call it Europe, but I mean, all right,
They're
whatever you
Asians.
decide you want to call that, huh?
I say they're Asians for sure. That's what it is. And like I say, they're all the same people. And you're right. They have the same kind of and they can help each other and they can work it out. And so, but then you got the United States is got them. They're all up in United States ass so hardcore that they, are going against their own interests of their own people or their own countries. You know what I'm saying? What would make way more sense for them?
Yeah, I mean, it's really like a lot of it is no brainers, but because of the ignorance and stupidity of trying to be, on the, well, we the big boss, we the, they, and some of them have gone with this mentality of we're gonna run the whole world. That they, they're picking the team, the best team for that. And really, I don't think they really realize that it's probably not the best team anymore. Like some of them are realizing that, U.S. is probably not the best team to be on because of, their track record and everything else. Because, I mean, at some point, they're going to find where you're not as valuable to them as they used to find you.
Let me read some comments. Check this one out. It says, how can a nation intervene in another nation's affairs under the guise of providing stability in the region when it can't even accomplish such a feat within its own?
Wow. Mm-hmm. Let the church say, wow.
Man, that's crazy. Let me read another one. It says, I used to be a proud American until a few years ago. Waking up to what we have done and what we actually stand for is extremely disheartening. Another comment, it says, just shows you how far the tentacles of our corrupt politicians can reach. Another one, it says, Haiti's ruling class tied to U.S. won't let Haiti's people to have basic human rights. Another comment, it says, as America's citizen, we never want to go to war, but our government loves it. That is so true. Like, it's how many times, did people really want to go to Iraq? Remember they was trying to sell us on Iraq and they went through the whole process in Congress and all of that shit? Did the people really want to go to Iraq? What do you think?
You said the people did want to go?
Did they? Yeah, I don't think so.
Well, no, like Iraq was not on anybody's radar except theirs, and the only reason why it became that was because of the propaganda, the media telling us that this is the bad guy that sent the planes into our buildings. Like, like all of the stuff that sent us there was on lies, but because they were able to manipulate the minds of the people and telling them a scenario that was not true, yes, the people end up getting behind the movement, but it was behind lies.
I still doubt it. I think that even though with the lies, I agree with what you're saying, but I just think that majority of people still was, even after all of that they were saying, the people really wasn't with it. I don't think the people really wanted to go to Iraq, and they just created the narrative of it. They made it appear that the people was with it. You know what I'm saying? And freaking so the point is, how many of the wars that we have gone to have the people really given their consent? Like, yeah, let's go to, blow those people up. It's like ever since, I think after Vietnam, all of the ones after that, the people wasn't really feeling it. and the government just kind of like made the decision and
No,
was like, boom.
I think that because I mean, you know, because of Afghanistan, Iraq. I mean, you know, because we got to think that a lot of this stuff is still somewhat follow up from Kuwait and other things that was happening in the early '90s. So, you know, and they had to make excuses to stay there. So, you know, yeah, the propaganda was strong. They did, you know, they lied to us. But at the same time, based on those lies, I really feel like we did get, like, you know, especially when we saw that our people could get killed because of somebody doing some shit like that. Like, you got to realize when 9/11 happened, like, that changed a lot. Like, the world, like, that was a very pivotal moment.
It's definitely the United States. It's like we was the United States this way before 9/11, and we was the United States this way after.
Because a lot of people who were like, no, we don't need war, was like, get them motherfuckers, like, go get them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, yes, like,
So,
it's like, nah, you know, because
I could be wrong.
Before that, I felt like most people felt like we was untouchable. You know, yeah, we don't really need to go over there. Like, you know, we're gonna kick their ass. You know, like you know what I'm saying? Like, we had this hyper feeling about how, you know, unstoppable we are, and I think that, you know, brought a bunch of people down to like, oh damn, we can get got too. Oh, you know what? We need to show these people that we ain't the ones to fool with. So like, yes, the average person was like, go get them.
I want to play a little bit more of this before we wrap it.
Right, exactly. You know, it's all the U.S.'s backyard, Latin America, the Caribbean.
Right.
So they send this Coast Guard ship, which is military. It's not part of the Pentagon. It's part of Department of Homeland Security, and this thing has basically small rafts that move very quickly and are equipped with machine guns that it can deploy. And those are exactly the kind of boats that you would want for some kind of, you know, special covert operation, which is exactly what the U.S. is angling for in Haiti. So, you know, this is classic gunboat diplomacy, where you send the diplomats down there to talk to the government. And at the same time, you kind of have, you know, the stick waiting in the water, you know, ready for action, and it might portend something else. So, you know, I'm not saying that Coast Guard ship is directly going to, you know, launch an attack, but it obviously portends something greater. And the U.S. said that it deployed the ship as a sign of its resolve. So, you know, I think that really says everything about its intentions.
Let's talk about these oil, that blockade specifically. What do you know about that?
So right in the heart of Port-au-Prince on the coast is the Varot gas terminal, and it is Haiti's lifeline of fuel to the outside world, where it receives 80% of its fuel. So if that thing is blockaded, as it currently is, it brings the country to a standstill.
Who's blockading it? I'm sorry.
And so, sure. So there's an armed group called the Revolutionary Forces of the G9 Family and Allies, and it's led by a former cop turned revolutionary named Jimmy Cherizier, and his demand is for Ariel Henry to step down and to have for the country to improve, to basically have leadership that will address the needs of the poor masses that are living in the shanty towns, in the slums, right next to that gas terminal. So, you know, you have the worst poverty in the Western Hemisphere. You have a cholera outbreak right now as a result of it. And their demands to end this blockade are, well, we need clean water, we need education, we need housing, all the basic things that people need to live. And Haiti's ruling class, which is tied to the U.S., won't allow them to have. So that's what this is fundamentally about. And if you look at, you know, the U.S. and its tools in Haiti are very concerned about this fuel blockade, and they want to lift it but they don't want to address anything that the people are demanding. And the masses, the people out protesting from the slums, they're not saying lift the fuel blockade. They're saying no foreign intervention and down with Ariel Henry. That's their demand.
So that's very interesting. So we want to get rid of this interim prime minister who's basically a puppet, and we want to have our autonomy, no U.S. boots on the ground, and we want to have a new government put in place is essentially what they're asking for. And of course, it doesn't appear that the West is ready to give that to them. In fact, it seems like the West is fully in support of Henry as the interim prime minister. Am I wrong about that?
Not exactly. Basically, the U.S.'s thing is, they know Ariel Henry is a liability because he's totally seen as a puppet of the United States, and correctly so. So there's an opposition group that the U.S. is also meeting with that has kind of a prettier face. They call it Haitian-led. It's called the Montana Accord. It's named for the fancy hotel that it was signed in. And it's a bunch of figures who are also tied to the U.S. So the U.S. is saying, taking these two groups, the Montana Accord and Ariel Henry, and just trying to bang them together to make an agreement so then they can have, some kind of transition government with elections. But again, that's not actually going to do anything for people in Haiti who are suffering under their boot. So that's the U.S.'s tactic, is to get these groups together.
And you may have mentioned this in passing, but what is the overall mood or sentiment regarding the Montana Accord among the Haitian people? Are they aware deeply of it, or are they in support of it, or they see it as an extension of U.S. interventionalism?
Right. I mean, I think it's clear to most Haitians who are out protesting that the Montana Accord is just another group of elites that don't represent their interests at all, and like Ariel Henry, are completely tied to the United States. So I don't see any signs in any of these protests saying we support the Montana Accord or anything else. But the signs are demanding those improvements in quality of life and just basic infrastructure that Montana is not gonna provide. The overall message you're seeing from the protests is down with Ariel Henry because he's the interim prime minister, and also no to U.S. military intervention. But there's no way that Montana has popular support. It's really just kind of lipstick on a pig.
When you see these troop movements, so we see the gunship, the Coast Guard gunship, how much bigger do you think it's going to get from there? Are we talking thousands of American forces, UN peacekeeping forces under the auspices of peacekeeping? Where do you see, and how big do you think that this will get?
Well, the U.S. would love to have the UN deploy, so-called peacekeepers as it did in previous occupations, but Russia and China have essentially they will block that, because it's not the Russia and China of 2003, 2004 that were much more willing to go along with U.S. machinations. So the U.S. is looking for another way to do it. There's talk about through the Organization of American States, which is really just a tool of the United States. And the U.S.'s other plot is through the Global Fragility Act, which is a 2019 piece of legislation that basically calls for military special operations to go into so-called fragile countries like Haiti, being the test case for this legislation, and carry out what they call small footprint operations, hit squads, black ops, covert ops. So the U.S. wants to have as small of a footprint as possible, so it doesn't get these mass protests against them, because the U.S. knows that foreign intervention is extremely unpopular in Haiti. That's why they're going with, this whole Haitian-led mantra of the Montana Accord. That's why they're saying, it's humanitarian intervention, and the U.S. is desperate for its puppets to be effective, so it's not at the forefront. So last case, I think last resort is that the U.S. deploys a significant amount of its own troops. It's really looking for a proxy to do the job.
As always, exactly. A couple of more questions I had for you. One, the cynical nature of me knowing.
Like, what news source is this?
Don't get me to lying, because I watch a lot of shit. I'm not even subscribed to this. It's called Redacted.
I mean, because that's what I'm like. This has to be, because he sounds very American. Looks like CNN like, you know, I know that like it's not CNN, but however, this dude like he telling it like it is. I mean,
Yeah, you're not gonna hear this on mainstream media on none of the channels. None of them.
yeah.
That's why, you
So,
know, this is the stuff I'll be watching. It just popped up on my timeline, like randomly.
but bro,
Just because of the
oh yeah, my bad. That's because
Oh, I was just gonna say it's my algorithm, you know. That's why I don't let nobody watch my any YouTube videos on my profile, like my kids or whatever, because I've been curating this fucking algorithm on this YouTube for years. So that's the benefit that you guys
yeah.
get on this show, I swear to God. Because I watch stuff from both sides all over the place. I'm not, you know, you're gonna get left on my timeline. There's left stuff, there's right stuff, there's center stuff, you know what I'm saying? It's all over the place. So
Yeah, but I mean, if you want too much of one thing, you're not gonna have the balance, the fairness, or any of that. So, I
I
mean,
have to hear what the other people's saying. Sometimes I type it in. If a video, like a left video, pops up on my screen about a topic that I'm interested in, and then it's totally left, then I'm gonna search for the other perspective of it so that I can hear what the fuck they're saying about the same topic.
yeah,
Like usually both sides are lying. And but there's truth in both sides too. So then
exactly. Yeah,
when you line them up together, then now you're getting somewhere.
yes, I 100%, 1,000% agree with that. Because I mean, you know, like there's some scheme that's happening that we may not really see, and I think that in order to really, you know, like multiple perspectives is only going to help you come up with a better totality of understanding. You know what I'm saying? So, um, definitely want to keep doing that. But like, bro, I really kind of fear for the Haitian people, bro. Like, right
Yeah,
now,
man.
with this type of involvement, it's really nothing. I think that really can happen. That's gonna, you know,
Be
really
good for
improve.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what's gonna
This is
improve?
definitely not going to be good for them. Whatever the result of this is, it's going to result in bad for them.
Yeah, but I think that, you know, with the U.S. involvement, will change the dynamics of the fighting that's happening now, and a bunch of, you know, well, to some extent, because I know some of them are already that's there are already a part of, you know, U.S. forces, of, you know, control under U.S. control. So, um, I don't know. It's it's tough, man. They try to get the shit under control as quick as possible. Um, you know,
I feel
get some
for him, man.
legislation done.
I don't think is the hope is low, man. I like to be optimistic, but
Well,
you
I know,
know,
but I'm
I
still
don't
like,
see.
you still in the midst of all of the chaos. I mean, there still has to be some kind of, you know, I guess, competence shown, so that like they don't lose everything. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I just hope.
at this
I
point, they
hope.
are. They,
I don't see it happening, but I hope that they can just elect who they want to elect, and it'll have no outside involvement, and their society can kind of go back to normal and rebuild. And but I don't see it happening. I really don't.
yeah.
The only way that can happen is if something happened over here in the United States to the point where the United
Well,
States had bigger problems to deal with and they didn't have time to look at
well,
them.
well. The thing about that is because I know, because see, the U.S. wants to keep a foothold. You know, keep some kind of control in this southern region of America, because, like, you know, China's been doing a lot of investments in South America to where if it spreads enough, like it'll it'll make its way into North America, which I think it has, to some extent, but not like it's, not the type of moves that has been made in some of the, the port,
And
port cities.
I've been meaning to cover that, especially China with their influence in Africa. I might cover that tomorrow, but like they are really like they're building relationships, and they understand. It was a video I was watching. They were talking about how like it's the youngest generation, it's the youngest people in Africa. Some shit they're saying. Basically, they have an emerging, huge amount of people, and these are going to be consumers. These are going to be, whatever. So China wants to tap into that market. It's a huge ass market that's emerging, and so it would be
Yeah.
wise to do that. What they're doing, so they help them build
Well, I mean, it's kind
trains
of the
or
same.
whatever.
Yeah.
They
Well,
they help.
my bad. Go ahead.
I was saying they help them build like infrastructure and stuff like that, so they can build up their own markets, but then they can come over there and take advantage of it. So like they like the roads and shit. Whenever they come over and build roads and shit, that's for them, so they can move their trucks and shit.
Well, I mean, I think at some point the bigger, uh, countries with the bigger budgets and like stability are supposed to do things like that. And I think over time we'll see if they're exactly like the U.S. or or maybe that they're at this point because the types of money. I mean, from what I understand, in some places the bill that they're making is really fair, but we're also talking about growth in a place that didn't they didn't have any,
I
and
think
we just got to kind of really.
I think the future can go two ways, but I think that the future is going to go to this mutual respect of the countries and having these harmonies where you can kind of like free trade or whatever, like not like the global new world order type of deal, more of like, respect of the other nations, what works best, because the people are gonna the internet is damn, what am I trying to say? It's from the Bible. Pandora's box. The internet is Pandora's box. The world is kind of connected in a weird ass way that they don't have control over. So the different people around the world are sharing their experiences and how they're looking at the world and stuff. And the world is going to come to like a general consensus. You get what I'm saying? And that means that within whichever country these people are in, they'll put pressure on their countries to do certain things, and it's going to cause like a freaking. And I think it's going to be a result of the internet. We're talking about all the negative impacts of the internet because there's a lot of them, but I think that they tried to get control of it with the net neutrality thing, and they definitely did as far as the people making money part of that. They made it to the point where it's really hard for independent small people to make money through these, social media type of platforms and stuff like that. Like they speed up the big ones and they slow down the little ones, but we still share our like little shits, our little freaking, TikToks, our little freaking, day-to-day
See,
type
but
shit, and it's causing this global connection that's really happening. Go ahead.
Well, look, my thing. I guess I had to ask because, like, that makes me, kind of look at the fact that potentially the government style that China's running, because they're not allowing too many outside influences for their citizens. They may not have the exact same freedoms as we have, but there's a lot more chaos going on our side of the pond. So it's like how is it more beneficial to be what we consider to be a communist, to where we don't allow certain things into the minds of the people, and it's being more controlled at that part of government, or is it better to have you know just free reign for everybody to see and think and feel, and because I mean, to me it seems potentially it causes a problem for people to have too much freedom.
That goes your conservative side coming out.
Well, I'm
I,
asking but I'm asking a question because, like, I can see where it can be problematic. I enjoyed the freedoms, but not everybody is puts restraints on themselves. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So we also
Hey,
see
fellas.
we also see where things can go bad. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm even asking that question. Whether you can answer it or not, but
I can't really because it's philosophical, but it's like, yes, I think you're right. People need to have some kind of values that are a bit conservative, right? I think it's like the scales of extreme, right? So you can't be too conservative and you can't be too liberal, right?
yeah,
Uh,
no,
it would be ridiculous.
yes, I agree. I mean, I think that there's some like that's my whole thing. Like, if you only see things one sided, like it's like what I'm saying. If all your weight is on the left side, you're gonna fall. You know, pretty much 50% of the time. Like, you might be able to stand up, but like the whole idea is to have balance, and I don't think that our society in a whole is teaching people what will keep that balance. You know, anything goes to some for some people, anything goes, and
and,
then
and
for
and
others,
and for some people they don't live at all and they're just living like a little super little box that and they're
and I
not
think
even living
and both
life.
of those are bad. I think both of those are not healthy.
Yeah, I read a book one time. It was a horror fiction and they were talking about agoraphobia, and that's where I learned that word because I hadn't even heard of it before. So it's like you're afraid of leaving outside of your place. You're afraid of like outside. So, and these people who have this condition, they stay in their home and they don't leave because they're afraid of leaving their home. Uh, so I think that's like an example of like a super
They
ultra conservative.
no,
What do you
well,
say?
yeah. I mean, if you want, if you want to put it in a political sense, I think, and I think to some extent it calls from some kind of political ploy. But I think these people have a chemical imbalance of some sort that they probably should not watch news, because I mean, if it controls your life to that extent, you might be better off just not, like just be in bliss. Ignorance, to some extent, is I think good for some. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know people that has anxiety that like they cope better when they don't really see everything that's going on or hear all of the potential problems of the world, because I mean, a lot of the stuff that we hear is never going to happen. It's just that that's one of the things that they use to control people. And
You
like I said,
telling
I
them
mean,
that you telling people to take the blue pill. You telling people to take
well,
the pharmaceuticals and just get
but
buzzed.
that's the whole. I am, and I I think that that's okay for some people, that they need the blue pill, like everybody.
Yeah.
Like, I think most of us like really point everybody's like, we got a good dose of the blue and the red. Like
Yeah.
I am promoting balance.
I ain't gonna lie. I've struggled with it sometimes. Sometimes I'll be like, man, I just, hey, give me the blue pill. Some days I do feel like
But
like,
we do need it. Regardless of how red you are, like you become extreme to some extent, and you will, like, some people will harm others because of that allowing that side to dominate them. And really, you need that. Like, you still got to have compassion for others who don't see things your way, because regardless of how you feel, you still, like, you probably got just as much for y'all that could be two agreements up against each other.
breaking up a little bit. That guy from the Matrix, when he was talking to them, Mr. Smith, the guy who was the traitor or whatever, who betrayed them, he was like, I want to be plugged back into the Matrix. He said, I don't want to remember nothing. I don't remember nothing. I don't want to remember nothing. So that makes me think, though. That makes me think, like, it's like, okay, it's like, bruh, like, wouldn't that be relaxing as hell for you to just, like, unsee all the shit that you've seen?
Well, I mean,
that you see now.
I think that because of the matrix we live in, we get activated. Like people who like, because of have a chance of, like people who are very blue at some point, they get activated and become very red. It's like, yeah, no, this shit is some bullshit. No, we got to do something different. Blah 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 blah. Like, bro, like I said, I mean, I've seen some gay people that is like crying because, like, some things that they see, like they saw at the Pride Parade, because, like, damn, like, they're really involving children in this, like, like, they're appalled by some of the stuff they're seeing. So, that's where we're gonna end up, needing people of different communities to be able to say enough is enough. Like, yes, I feel this much, but guess what? Children have a right to not have to see or do, like, be a part of these things until, like, they have a right to be able to choose too. But not at some point in their life, they should be able to make those decisions for themselves, and no one should be forcing them at 8, 10, 12, or whatever age to this way. Something that is for, like, they can't turn back.
Yeah, you got a you're breaking up. You got a chubby dude dressed like a woman twerking on a kid and shit on the float going by and shit. You're like, what the fuck is going on?
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's weird shit. And yeah, my signal is low.
Yeah, I'm about to wrap it. I'm tired as hell.
Okay,
yeah, we gotta wrap
I'll
it.
go out and come back. But
yeah, we gotta wrap it. Peace and love. Thank y'all for joining. Thank y'all for listening. I'll be back tomorrow.
Yeah, Deuce left a message for us.
Yeah, he jumped off. He had to jump off.
Yeah, peace and love. Gotta jump off. But yeah, man. I'll be ready to do this again tomorrow, and peace and love to the family. We really can, use y'all support. Let's get a cash app in, like, whatever you can do, $5, $10. The more the merrier, but let's look out for the channel. Let's keep this thing going.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Please, yeah. It will help a lot. Anyways, y'all get some rest. We'll be back.
And for
Peace.